you dig it? Can you dig it?
Ladies, gentlemen, friends, foes, lurkers, regulars, GMO people, organic people.
Boiler room. Inbound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, folks, what's up? Welcome back to the Boiler Room. I'm your host. My call sign is Hesher. Thank you for joining us tonight for this live broadcast. It is Black Friday. That's right. It's Black Friday out there. If you are among those that visit brick and mortar stores, especially the big box ones, how did it go? Let us know in the chat. Well, guess what? Most of our listeners probably weren't there. So we're calling, we were looking at the headlines of the week. It's been a week since we've been here. So we figured, hey, let's look at the headlines. And this morning, Spore and Ruckus and I were having brunch. And Ruckus said, you know what? This is like Whack Friday. So yes, Boiler Room is celebrating Whack Friday, if you prefer. So yeah, we've got Radiated Shrimp, Overtime Secrets, and a Tech Wife Mafia we're going to discuss tonight. So a holiday weekend news blast of shrimp, secrets, and silicon shenanigans just for you right here in the Boiler Room. So thanks for joining us. We're going to be joined by Ruckus and Spore and Pharaoh and Mr. Derberg momentarily here, and we got a couple of combat landings that may or may not happen tonight. I'm not going to tease them just in case those folks are still in the turkey coma, if you will. Happy Thanksgiving yesterday to all of those Social Reject Club members who are Thanksgiving celebrators, and hey, shouts out to our friends overseas that are not, who gave us some nice Thanksgiving messages this year. Hope everybody had some good time with family and all that. And friends. And yeah, so it's November 28th. Not only is it Whack Friday, but it's November 28th of 2025. We're getting into what's it going to be? Gosh, I guess this would probably be the last one for November. So we're down to like, including tonight, maybe 6 more boiler rooms here in 2025. So that's kind of weird to think about that 2025 is ending, and what a strange year it has been. I think it will be really interesting this year to do sort of our annual wrap-up shows here at Boiler Room and on Sunday Wire in particular, and 21stcenturywire.com. They have a tradition of putting out, the top 10 events of the year or the biggest stories of the year and throw some analysis at them in hindsight, and also make predictions for the upcoming year. So we'll be discussing those on Sunday Wire at length, I'm sure. And that information will all be up. Those articles will come up right around New Year's over at 21stcenturywire.com. But yeah, what a strange year. It kicked off with a Tesla Cybertruck blowing up, if you will, in front of a Trump Tower. That was odd. But probably an appropriate kickoff to this year when I look in the rearview mirror. That particular event psyop is definitely something that was an interesting start to the year. But look where we are now. I mean, wow. The techno bros and the Silicon Valley cults are doing great, doing wonderful. The wars are huge. The winning and the coping, depending on who you are. Whew. Yeah. And then the outrage. Let's not forget the outrage. We got all kind of stuff going on here in the United States as we close out 2025. And I would just like to thank you, the new viewer, listener, and the long time viewer listener for being here with us this year, and we're looking forward to what happens. Well, maybe not what happens, but we're looking forward to broadcasting audio and video in 2026 and being here for whatever happens. Let me welcome the mystical Pharaoh to the boiler room. Hopefully the hookah is already lit and he is just sitting there having a rip off that sucker and ready to jump onto the stage. Mystical Pharaoh, what's up, man? Welcome to the boiler room.
Hey man, how are you?
I'm good. Happy Thanksgiving yesterday. Did you have a good one?
Happy Thanksgiving. It was actually not bad. It was actually pretty low key. I did not overdo it food wise.
You didn't end up in a full on like turkey and stuffing coma?
No, I made I smoked some chicken and I did some healthy sides and stuff. But
I thought
I
you were going to say
usually
something
go
else after.
overboard in cooking. But
Man,
I guess inflation was bad this year, so I stuck to my budget.
Yeah, good. You got to. That's the responsible thing to do, man. And that's something we're going to talk about this year because today is Whack Friday. So we'll explore what people's budgets and what Black Friday is actually looking like out there. But hey, it's great to have you. I'm glad you had a good turkey day, man. When you said I smoked the turkey, there was like a pause in my head. I thought you were going to say I smoked something else, but it was the turkey.
No, yeah, I smoked chicken. Yeah.
Oh, chicken. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Did you put like a dry rub on that or what?
No, I actually brine it in Italian seasoning for a day, dry, with brine, and I smoke it. It comes out really pretty moist and pretty good.
Excellent, man. That sounds delightful. Let's get Ruckus up in here. This is Ruckus Among Us, and boom, here he is coming on the stage. Ruckus, what's up, man? Welcome to the boiler room.
Oh, hello. Is this happening again already? That means it must be. What day of the week is this? I'm confused.
Thursday? No, Friday?
Friday. That's right. We're doing Fridays now. That's cool. Neat. I like the Friday thing until the next day, of course.
Yeah, right.
But it's all right. It's a good thing it's a weekend. Yeah, we got Whack Friday going on. I didn't manage to take advantage of any good special deals this year. Usually that would be a good time to go to the stores and get a good deal. If you're willing to fight it out, duke it out, as it were, with some of the other shoppers for that last item on the shelf. You got to be brave. And back in the day when I worked retail, Black Friday was dreaded. It was certainly dreaded. I mean, the companies look forward to this because, as a reminder, Black Friday is supposed to be like it's a big deal. It's called Black Friday because the companies are basically in the red all year round until the holiday shopping starts, and usually on the Friday following Thanksgiving, which is usually on a Friday because Thanksgiving's always on a Thursday. Go figure. That's why they call it Black Friday. And then, of course, we had all the rumors that something nasty and bad was going to happen, and it was going to be that kind of a Black Friday. Like, no, those Black Fridays have been happening like once a week since Trump took office in his second term. So, yeah, nothing like that, just the usual stuff. But yeah, it seemed a little slow. The news reports are indicating that things are a little slow. They were projecting numbers that were already kind of poor in comparison to last year, which was already poor compared to the year before. You see where this story is heading, right? Ever since something happened back in 2020, it's like there weren't a lot of stores open or something. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, ever since then, we've been going through it. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Yep. So anyways, but now we've got AI shopping. Amazon comes out like 2 weeks ahead of Black Friday. You used to have to wait till the day of Black Friday. You had like a 24-hour window to buy as much cheap crap that's going to fall apart on you in a week as you could. But now things are different. I think people aren't falling for the same tricks anymore. And that's good news for society in general, as far as where people's heads are at. But bad news for society in general, because our economy, unfortunately, is based on this: a bunch of brainless sheep buying a bunch of useless crap that's going to break in a couple weeks. It is what it is. You like it or hate it. That's what makes the world go round, right? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Great to have you with us here tonight. And Whack Friday, indeed. Let's welcome Mr. Derberg to the stage here. William Durberg, but we call him Bill. We like to refer to him by his first name as Bill, Mr. Bill Durberg. Welcome to the Boiler Room. Bill, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, if you say it wrong, it'll come out like Bilderberg, as if I were part of that nefarious group. I won't
No.
have anything to do with those guys ever since they kicked me out.
Yeah, that was a bad breakup. That was like Dave Mustaine getting kicked out of Metallica right there. You watch out for Mr. Durberg. He's got a axe to grind.
Well, they resorted to frat house paddling when I wouldn't go along with their agenda. So they gave me the frat house paddling, so I won't go to their meetings again, ever again. No way.
No, no thanks. Do their paddles have the holes drilled in the paddles for
Yeah,
maximum? Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, you don't want to be around that.
Anyway, yeah, many nefarious things, of course, to talk about. The the annual spike in the economy evidently is not what everyone had hoped. But the important thing that, in my opinion, at least, that my wife and I did is we went to just the local businesses, the local coffee shop, the local taco stand for breakfast tacos, the local outdoor market veggie stand to buy some produce. All of it grassroots, all of it locally owned. It's not how much you spend; it's where you spend it.
There you go. I like the sound of that, Mark. Spoken like a true Texan right there for sure. A true American, not an Americant, right?
That's right. There's no can't in American. That's right.
That's right. There's no can't there. Of course, you can find Bill Durberg's cousin, Mark Anderson, on UK Columns on Fridays and hosting Stop the Presses on RBN if you're new around here. Otherwise, you are probably already know that. Okay, let's it's time. It is time. Let's see here. I can almost hear the music because the one, the only, the very lovely Spore, keeper of all things whiskey tango foxtrot on the interwebs, is about to join here. Lovely Spore, there she is. Welcome to the Boiler Room. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here and enjoying the long
Oh,
holiday weekend.
that's an interesting look. Okay.
Ruckus made that one for me. Hesher, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was just admiring your avatar there, Spore. You got it nailed. Ruckus did you a good one.
Do you want to say what you're trying to put together there, Ruckus?
Oh, that's just part of the theme here with tonight's Whack Friday. The bunch of the sheep running around.
So we got Ruckus here. I'm gonna step aside while you tell people like what you were thinking when you made this image because it's pretty striking.
Yeah, so we've got the sheeple wearing the VR headsets, shopping virtually, but still kind of wandering around aimlessly with their shopping carts filled with digital something. I don't know, sparkly things. One of them busted and broke. It exploded. Maybe that one came from Israel. And then as drones watch overhead, of course, this is what it's going to look like very soon. The next Black Friday would probably look exactly like this. It'll be inside of some sort of virtual world, some sort of virtual shopping experience. Maybe they can gamify it, instead of people beating the crap out of each other in real life for that last pair of sneakers or that big screen TV. They can do that inside like Mortal Kombat style in the VR world. Wouldn't that be cool? And then, of course, I used sheep for the image of, the general consumer being a sheep, but you can dress up as whatever you want. You can be a deer, you can be a shoe, Spore, you could be a shoe in the virtual world as you
Oh, my
duke it
dreams
out.
come true.
Yes, you can duke it out with somebody for the 42-inch big screen TV. Not a real big screen TV, of course. It's just a virtual one that you hang up inside your virtual room while we all live inside of our coom pods, right?
Ah, the old coom pod. We get closer and closer to that metaphor, don't we? All right. Well, before we talk any more about Black Friday, let's do an icebreaker. We got Spore with us here tonight. We're excited about that. Spore, by the way, happy Thanksgiving yesterday, and thanks for everything you did. We had a wonderful time.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Hesh.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's break some ice. So, Spore, what do you got? Who submitted it?
You submitted this one, and I think we should just play the video.
Okay. We're going to go straight to video and let this one speak for itself. I'm going to double check, make sure it's not muted or anything like that, because we're going to want to hear this. And you're going to want to see this too. If you're listening to the audio, it'll suffice, but I highly recommend that maybe you watch on Rumble or YouTube or X, at least the icebreaker here, so you can get the lovely visual that we are getting here. This particular video is called Senator John Kennedy Warns Walmart Shrimp Could Turn You into Alien After Radioactive Recall. So I thought this must be fake when I first saw it, but no, apparently this is something that went down on Capitol Hill. So here you go.
Mr. President, this is a photograph of the alien from the movie Alien. This is what you could end up looking like if you eat some of the raw frozen shrimp being sent to the United States by other countries. Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about. In late August, the FDA found that raw frozen shrimp from Indonesia was being sold in Walmart, specifically in Walmart stores in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, and West Virginia. It was being sold under the Walmart label called the Great Value label. If you eat it, how could you end up looking like the alien in the Alien? Because the shrimp was radioactive. I kid you not. It had a radioactive isotope in it called cesium-137. It'll kill you. Even if it doesn't turn you into the alien, if you eat this stuff, I guarantee you'll grow an extra ear. That was bad enough. Obviously, the FDA issued a recall. A few days later, it happened again. The FDA and NOAA, which I'll talk about in a second, found that there were 26,460 packages of shrimp cocktail and 18,000 bags of frozen cooked shrimp being sold once again at Walmart and at Kroger's throughout the United States.
Okay, I just have to pause for a second here. Do you guys hear that like leather scooting, the leather scooting or the farting? Yeah. Where I did not notice that the first time I watched this. I'm like, is this dweeb? Is this the dweeb sitting next to him, like moving in his seat? He looks stone cold. I don't see him moving. Like, where's the leather rubber? Okay, sorry.
It's not just bad quality.
I don't know, man. I mean, it looks like a decent camera. The audio is pretty good, but the microphone is his microphone, or yeah.
It's possible that may have been my chair.
Oh, okay. All right.
No.
No. We'll mute you for the rest of it and unmute you afterward. We'll see.
No,
it's
it
a very
was not.
old chair.
It couldn't have been Mark.
I don't know.
No, it couldn't have been because it was on when I watched this before we were on a call.
I thought it looked like you were muted there at one point too. So I think we're okay. We're just we'll deal with the leather scraping here. I mean, geez, what a strange presentation. We'll get to that. It's almost over.
States containing the same radioactive isotope. How could this happen in America? This is unconscionable. I'll tell you how. because that shrimp from other countries, which don't abide by the same rules that we abide by in America, which if you eat it will may turn you into the alien, and at a minimum will cause you to grow an extra ear. It's not being inspected. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be inspected by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We call it NOAA. It's part of the Department of Commerce. And yes, they're inspecting some of it, about 1%. On a good day, 2%. The United Kingdom inspects 50% of the foreign seafood coming into its nation. Even China does a better job than the United States of America. This is unconscionable, Mr. President. There's no excuse for it.
Okay.
He had a scratchy mic. It was his lapel mic.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was the lapel mic. But boy, was that distracting. That was certainly unnecessary. But
it was kind of like nails on a chalkboard. It was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty annoying. I apologize to the audience about that. I did not hear that until we were live. But hey, what about that? I mean, Spore, what do you think of that? I mean, it's an important thing that he's talking about, but at the same, are you not sort of minimizing it by getting so sci-fi with it?
Okay, so first of all, I wish that we had Trump's response to this, because he was saying he was directing this Mr. President, right? This whole it's at least going to give you an extra ear. It's kind of like, I don't know, little eccentric, or I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not. But I thought that one of the things that was interesting about it is that you had found reports years ago about how in certain Asian countries they were injecting silicone into shrimp and prawns to make them fatter, when they're farming shrimp. And so I'm not really surprised that there's radioactive or nuclear material in these things, and that they're not being checked for quality before being shipped out to us. The other thing I found interesting is that the states that he said that these were in the Walmarts were almost all pretty red states.
Isn't that interesting? I was wondering about that too. Why is it? I mean, it's almost so salaciously PR oriented to present it the way that he did, right? To be like, oh, you're going to turn into this. He never even does an LOL about it, but then he transitions into, what backs up his statement, if you will, his, metaphorical statement that he never clarified. But then he says later on, you'll at least grow another ear. You know what I mean? At
the very least.
With a totally straight face, he says that. He can't even smirk or, contextualize his satire. It's almost, and then I feel like there's also this programmed outrage that is supposed to land on people in the South and in the Midwest. And, he's a senator from the South. So, I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about that strange performative aspect. But Spore, I'll let you wrap up and then I'll go around the room.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it just seems like targeted propaganda. But at the same time, I think shrimp have been pretty fishy for a few years now. I don't know. We have to be suspicious of everything that we're purchasing, especially from a Walmart, those big chain stores. I love how Mark started off with talking about buying things at the local level. And here in our area, our farmers markets shut down basically in the first or second week of September. So we pretty much have to go to, there are some stores that have, some Texas meat and stuff like that, but the options really dwindle during the fall and winter seasons. But I don't know. It's sad because I always love shrimp and prawns.
And you don't
my
want to
whole life.
worry that it's anything other than a shrimp or a prawn, right? Like you don't want
Right,
to
exactly.
sit down and order a shrimp cocktail because that sounds like a good appetizer and then have to go, I wonder if this is imported from Indonesia and it has extra levels of cesium 137 in it, or if it's coming from Vietnam and it's been injected with silicone gel to make them look bigger and weigh more so that they can make more money on them. Like that's not
You don't want to wonder if you're gonna grow an extra ear or look like the alien.
look like the chest burster.
Yeah, the chest burster.
All right, let me go to Pharaoh here. I'll just go in order here. Pharaoh, what's your take on what we just saw?
I thought we inject only silicone in tits, but I guess we injected in shrimp now too.
Well, and butts, but yeah.
On
Yeah,
butts,
BBLs.
yes.
Don't forget that.
The shrimp probably smells better though, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah. Man. I mean, Kennedy is one of those. What's his name? What?
Senator John Kennedy from
Yeah,
Louisiana.
Kennedy. Yeah. Just I always when I say Kennedy, and then I'm like, I think about the Kennedys, and he's not related to them, right?
Maybe someone can fact check me on that because I don't know the answer to that. I bet Bill Derberg will know when we get to him, or someone will put it in the chat. But I'm not sure. I kind of suspect he's not a.
I don't think he's a Kennedy.
Real Kennedy.
No, he's a fake Kennedy. But yeah, he's always entertaining the way he presents stuff. I actually that's why I liked him from the very beginning.
He's sort of like theatrical and
he is very
performative,
theatrical.
right?
Yeah. He's always been like that. So he is pretty entertaining. Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Because I don't buy shrimp from Indonesia, but I buy it actually from Costco, and it's imported from Argentina. And now I'm wondering.
Now we have to Google like does Argentinian shrimp have cesium 137 or silicone in it?
Yeah. It's pretty disgusting, man. It's just another example of how the entire food supply is just they're just feeding us garbage. And yeah, I don't know what else to say.
What about what about the actual? Let me show you this, dude. Before I move down the line here, let me put this one on the screen for you. Am I sharing it already? Where is it? Indonesia. So this is what he's referring to here. This came out just 2 days ago, November 26th of this year. Indonesia, and this is from AP. Indonesia investigates radioactive contamination in some exports to US and Europe. And it talks all about the discovery of cesium 137 beginning earlier this year with an initial report submitted by Dutch authorities over traces of radiation found in shipping containers from Indonesian sources. And they also said several boxes of sneakers were found to be contaminated. We're going to talk about sneakers later in the episode. Ruckus has a sneakers gig for us. But yeah, what do you think about that, dude? Just like the fact that our food supply is so trashy, like that's really the real message here. And I guess like if I was an old cat like that guy and I'd been on Capitol Hill a long time, like I'd probably be coming up with weird satirical, like none of this matters sort of presentations like that, but maybe I can, outrage my peoples in the South and get some votes sort of presentations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like the Stau's vote. I don't know what was his end goal, right? What was he said? He was trying to push for legislation, or what the heck was he trying to push for?
I mean, it seems pretty simple, but like I don't know exactly either. I didn't watch the whole thing. It's out of context for me, but like it seems to me the leap here is okay, if this is true, maybe the FDA should do its fucking job. Yeah. Could we get that? Like, is that too much to ask for? I mean, I don't know.
Even know. Like, so here is my point, right? Have you guys been seeing the videos about the Christmas cookies that are made in India? Those butter cookies, the Danish cookies that everybody loves, right?
Yeah. They
Yeah,
come in
right.
tins, right? They come in those tins grandma used
Yeah,
to bring
which
over for
I used
holidays.
to love their tastes, and I haven't eaten them in a long time because they're really bad for you. But now I realized why they are really shitty for you, not just literally. But how would they, if they inspect something like that, right? How would they know? Is they going to
Yeah,
send people over there?
right. Like how much trash do we have coming in from other countries? Like,
That's
and
right.
who has enough employees to look through and like what PCR test all the trash that they're feeding us? And it's like never mind the imported trash because those of us that are in the know don't eat imported trash or at least try to minimize the amount of imported trash that could end up in our diet, right? So
Mhm.
then we can look homeward. We can look here in the United States and say, oh my gosh, what about all the poisons that are legally being allowed to be put in the food sources here in the United States that go straight from, the ground to, eventually your face hole?
Yeah. So exactly to your point there, right? Is number one imported cheap garbage, and then here in US, GMO, Roundup poison garbage, unless you go buy organic, which is pretty fucking expensive. And who's got like how much, how many, what percentage of our population afford eating organic, right? Everything,
Yeah.
right? So
And is organic even as viable of a solution as it was
so
before?
it is. So here is the point. So one thing I just learned how they call the chickens. So I used to go buy the organic chicken from Costco, and then I learned that all those organic chicken that they are sold on Costco, they are water cooled, and the way they do that is they basically use chloride solution. So
Ew.
actually, it is organic raised. However, the way they processing it, you
Bathed in
end up
chloride?
freaking like have chloride in the damn thing. So now I start buying air shelled chicken, which is much more expensive because guess what? In the other one, they have 10% more weight
Oh,
added
yeah,
to it,
okay.
right?
Yep, I get you.
So yeah, so it is, but this is something. Here you go. I thought I'm buying not good chicken, but I turned out I'm just eating fucking like poison too, right?
Oh, so I have just one little spin off of that. Something that Hesher and I learned about recently also is the organic eggs that you can get at the grocery store. Um, they're often feeding them GMO soy, and that GMO soy is stored in their yolks. That's where all those things go. So even though it's an organic egg, unless it's, I mean, we actually are lucky enough to have at our natural grocer here non-soy fed chicken eggs, and that's the only type that we buy because it's like it's concentrated in those yolks, even if it's considered organic.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying not to be a soy boy. Let me translate this here, make sure I understand, Spore. Trying not to be a soy boy. So I go to places like Sprouts and Natural Grocers and I buy the organic cage-free eggs, right? I should be good. That's a good philosophy of use. I don't want to be a soy boy. Those are my eggs right there. I'm eat 6 in the morning and I won't be a soy boy. But guess what? If they've been fed organic soy feed, the yolk you're getting specifically, especially if you're, an over easy guy or gal, you're getting soy boyed and soy girled. Is that what I'm hearing there, Spore? That's why we pay so much extra for eggs. And every time Donald Trump says the eggs are so cheap, it's like, well, fuck, mine aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is that there's been like a spike in egg allergies. And even people like we know that are buying the organic eggs are having allergic reactions to them.
Oh,
Yeah, I heard
great.
about this egg allergies too, and I never heard about fucking egg is the most. I never heard about egg allergy before,
Yeah. No,
which is one
it's
of the
like,
food that has all what it needs for your body to process it
And meat
naturally.
exactly.
and meat.
Yeah.
And people are allergic to meat now. Guess what?
That's, yeah.
Because of some guy named Gil Bates, right? there's a huge wave happening right now on social media, particularly on Instagram, among the food and health people that are pointing out that, hey, there is a named disease out there that people are getting, and it looks like to a lot of people, you gotta be careful how you say these things on YouTube, but anyway, it looks like to a lot of people who analyze these things that it is something that has been introduced by bioengineering ticks. Now,
Mhm.
that thing opens a whole can of worms. But anyway, this week there's a whole, I noticed in my doom scroll at least, there's a whole bunch of people talking about the Gil Bates induced meat allergy from tick bites. So it's like you were saying, Pharaoh, used to be eggs and frickin' hamburger meat and steak were not something people were allergic to. And now in 2025, or here at the end of it, there's an outbreak of those things happening.
This is
Well,
the
that's why you
first
have to
year.
go buy. Oh, sorry, Spore, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say this is the first time. This year was the first time I actually met somebody that's allergic to red meat.
Yep.
Well, that's why you have to go buy Campbell soup.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Dude, there is so much crap that came out about food this week. I mean,
know.
yeah.
So, can you paraphrase what happened about Campbell's? Because that was a big one.
Well, they caught one of their executive on tape talking about that basically all the garbage, that it's basically garbage. He will never buy it because they use basically lab grown meat.
Printed
soup.
meat, lab grown meat, that kind
Yep.
of stuff.
That's right.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
There was the other part of that. The guy was saying we make shit food for poor people. The guy was just a D-bag.
Yeah, that was okay. Let's put that on the shelf for a minute. I have the clip. We'll go back to it. Let me go around the room here. Let me go to Bill Durberg and then Ruckus. Bill, your comments on this whole thing here with the shrimp.
Interesting. You could go a lot of ways with it. A quick note is there's no known connection between John Kennedy and John Kennedy. This John Kennedy was a Louisiana state senator and Louisiana state revenue officer and shot right up to U.S. Senate, leaping over that normal hurdle called the U.S. House, or even not even serving in the state legislature. So he was in the executive branch of the state government in Louisiana and shot right up to the U.S. Senate. That's a pretty big leap. I'd like to know a little bit more about that. I know his only son came down with cancer, reportedly, but I've been to Capitol Hill enough to know that they do use theatrics once in a while, but usually it's a little more tongue in cheek and they, LOL, like you say, Hesh, there's a little more acknowledgement that it's satire. But I've seen satire myself there in person in years past, relatively recent years. When comparing like Obamacare, if you printed Obamacare on both sides of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, it would be 8 feet tall. And I've seen some graphics and some things used on that. But this is illustrative of what I've often talked about, where when you talk about free trade, it's a whole different ballgame if you have durable goods and you're shipping washing machines and refrigerators around the world, or hammers or thumbtacks or paper clips. But food is a whole different matter. Contamination, spoilage, and the whole regulation thing. There is a rationale for the U.S. to impose some tariffs on these things to not to drive up the prices so much, although that might in an ironic way help, because then people would be less likely to consume this particular shrimp if it costs more. But to discourage its importation, and if it does get imported, they would have to pay a large duty, and I believe that would be just in this case. There was mention there by Kennedy that the foreign shrimp that doesn't have to meet the same food standards as if the shrimp were extracted from the waters, let's say near me in the waters in Brownsville, off the coast of Brownsville, not far from SpaceX. Maybe the shrimp would turn up with little Tesla rocket particles inside the shrimp, right? But I digress. But there is a case to be made for that too. That if foreign countries can't meet our standards in terms of food safety, and that doesn't mean the U.S. standards are all that good, but just for the sake of argument, then that would be a rational place to place a tariff. You would say your food is substandard. We're not blocking you out of the market in America, but if you want in this market with that product, you're going to pay for it. And I believe that would be a just thing to do. But digressing again, shrimp as a living creature are are bottom feeders, they're scavengers, and it's just not particularly healthy to eat shrimp in the first place. Um, it's and then you got to look at fish like catfish, which are also bottom feeders. It's a lot healthier to eat like walleye, pike, cold water fish like that. Certain salmon, actual tuna, not the tuna you get in the can, but like different kinds of higher grade fish that you can get in really good seafood shops. And some of those restaurants and shops have all this researched. They know what's contaminated and they know what's not, and they get the good stuff. So you got to shop around. It might be a local place, but at any rate, those are some of the variables that are going through my mind right now. It's not unusual for congressmen to use hyperbole, and that's what ultimately this was. Even though he didn't break a sweat or break a smile, he's exaggerating to make a point. Like the alien spawn will come, launching out of your stomach like it did with Sigourney Weaver in the movie, and that's a lot of melodrama just to make a point about the importation of shrimp. But that's what he's getting at. It's a lot of hyperbole, probably too much. But his point was made that, and I won't repeat them. The standards and the comparative standards of food and whatnot. Where I live in South Texas, they haul enormous amounts of shrimp out of the waters off the coast of Brownsville, South Padre Island. If you go to the restaurants there and you ask around and you nail it down and get some good stuff, you can have a great seafood meal. You really can. But you're going to pay for it, but it's worth it. I mean, that's what you have to do. It's not peanut butter and jelly. If you want good seafood, you got to pay the money.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And in Texas, you got to be in the right spot. It's hit or miss here, largely missed, depending on the further away you are from the Gulf. All right, let me roll over to Ruckus real quick here. Ruckus, thoughts on where we're at so far?
Well, a lot of us are from Texas, obviously.
Yeah.
As pointed out by Calling Larry on YouTube. Shout out to Calling Larry.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what my takeaway from this is how far we've come from 2020, finally. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this guy just got up there and literally just pulled some shit out of his ass as far as science and health is concerned. And was more than suggesting. Mark, he wasn't saying the chest burster was going to come out. He was saying you're going to turn into this is what you're going to look like. And then he's all, but I can guarantee. So he can guarantee that you're going to grow an extra ear at least. I'm like, that's medical misinformation, sir.
Yeah.
So how come we're not shutting down his Facebook account? How come he's not being canceled? How come his medical license hasn't been? Oh, I don't think he's a doctor. And yes, there's no relation to him and Kennedy, the famous Kennedys. But also, I would suggest there's no proven indication until tonight. I don't think I'd ever heard anyone accusing Bill Gates or Gil Bates of causing the alpha gal syndrome, is what it's called, the meat allergy from the tick.
That's the one.
The first reports for that were in 2002, but I thought you guys, the conspiracy theorists and Hesher, would find this interesting. According to Wikipedia, take all this with a grain of salt, a 2012 preliminary study found unexpectedly high rates of alpha-gal allergy in the western and north central parts of the U.S. This suggests that unknown tick species, in addition to the Lone Star tick and the other ones that they know about, may spread the allergy. Here's where it gets interesting. The study found this allergy cases in Hawaii, where no ticks identified with the allergies live, and they say that human factors were suggested, but no specific examples were provided. So if somebody wants to do a deep dive into this and look into, where the people were first talking about this, the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, and see if there's any ties there with Gil Bates. There might be a there. But this recent incident where the person died, he was a 47-year-old man in New Jersey. And New Jersey does have their little experimental things going on there. And of course, we had the Lyme disease thing coming from ticks. And there's lots of weird stuff coming out of New Jersey. And again, I don't know what the association of Gil Bates is, but it does strike me that it's okay for us to just randomly suggest bizarre things without backing it up scientifically, making these bizarre claims when we couldn't even question the science not that long ago. Isn't that fascinating?
Right.
Clearly, Kennedy is not, he's not a doctor and he's not a scientist, and he was just trying to make a point. But the whole thing was so clownish and bizarre, just the very beginning. You could just clip that part. And I mean, it's so cringy. And just end there where you're just like, he's like, this photograph is a photograph of an alien from the movie Alien, and just end it there. And you're like, this is politics. This is government in the United States of America in 2025. And I think that just speaks volumes,
Yeah.
And then
there it
it's
is.
a great lead into all of these bizarre stories about the crappiness of the food. You guys hinted at the Campbell's thing, but there's a lot of that stuff going around now. People are I think, believe it or not, the Campbell's thing is what's starting to open people's eyes. I was seeing clips of people like, oh my God, I never read the label on the back of they're like, what's a bioengineered food ingredient? I'm like, oh, bitch, please. I have to look for that in the fine print on everything that I buy. You guys probably saw me doing that earlier today when we were at the grocery store. It's like, and everything says it. You're like, oh, it used to be you'd have to, you knew what the code words for, what you look for inside the ingredients, right? But now it's like when you don't see it there and you're like, whoo, I made it all the way to the end. And then after all the copyright on the very bottom beneath the UPC, it says contains bioengineered ingredients. And I'm like, damn it. So what can you do, right?
Yeah, there is a rash of this stuff going around. Let me just throw some receipts up before we get into a change of topic here. Let's see. First off, this is just a example of what I'm seeing in popular trending on social media, particularly on Meta's products today. 450,000. This is the claim by Tom and Lorne Health. 450,000 Americans now have meat allergy due to Bill Gates funded ticks, which infect people with AGS, alpha gal syndrome, due to Bill Gates funded ticks, which infect people with a meat allergy. The first American just died last week, they claim. And here's one of their X posts, I believe, that says Gil Bates has poured his money into funding genetically engineered ticks, which infect people with AGS, a condition that makes people violently allergic to meat. And
what's the news source in the screenshot there?
It's American Faith, which I'm not familiar with, but the headline at American Faith, which, again, I'm dubious of. Bill Gates funded research into genetically engineered cattle ticks. Now 450,000 Americans have red meat allergies from AGS. They've got a bunch of slides on here with other articles you can look at The Guardian, at The Corner. Never heard of that one either. They have all their tweets associated with this up there that show New York Post articles and a bunch of others. So, I'll link this on the show page so you can check it out for yourself. But you make a good point there, Ruckus. What's going on with Hawaii?
I'm not saying that kind of thing's not happening, but I think it's like it's a bit of a quick stretch or too easy of an answer to accuse Bill Gates. I think he can't always be the patsy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When at the end of the day, when you do enough digging, you're like, oh well, son of a bitch, look at that! It's funded by Sam Altman or Elon Musk or all these people that you're like, y'all are big fans of. Some of y'all out there, it's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Bill, what do you think about that one before we get out of here? You're on mute there, my friend. Turn that off.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, this one I haven't really heard much about. this might be kind of tangential to say, but I read a lot of labels too. And have you ever noticed that you'll see something that seems really highly specialized, and it'll say manufactured in a factory or facility that also uh, processes dairy, or manufactured in a facility that processes nuts, or all, and what you're buying won't even be related to that. It'll be something far removed from this general statement: manufactured in a facility that processes seafood. And what you're buying has nothing to do with seafood. It's food, but it's a lot different. And I actually am beginning to suspect, I'll just use the word suspect, that there are these conglomerate manufacturing facilities somewhere where a lot of things are being made or put together under one roof, including food wise. In other words, it's not necessarily always, um, Brian's factory or Joe's factory over here makes this wonderful bread, and the only thing made in Joe's factory is Joe's bread, and it's this wonderful, wholesome operation. And instead, what we see on a lot of food labels is that mega facilities are making all sorts of things under one roof. And you have to wonder, kind of peel back the onion and wonder what that's about, and then you could have infestations, perhaps. So I know that's a bit of a tangent, a little bit slightly off topic, but in terms of things getting into our food or the mystery of our food, I wonder about this implication. It's implied that there's lots of seemingly distantly related food items that are all being made along the same conveyor belts.
Yeah, good point. We see a lot of that whole cross contamination thing for things that shouldn't really make sense, right? Like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on.
We were just talking about this, Hesher, and it was actually in response to the cookies, the video that I sent you about the Indian-made cookies, where I was asking, did you ever see that show, How It's Made?
Oh, yeah.
Part Italian and part Hungarian.
I have, speaking of the cookies,
you have a video playing.
I do?
Really foreground his
You
populist
hear that? Okay, let me stop that. Yeah, speaking of the cookie thing here, let me just throw this on screen. So, again, more receipts. Here is someone's social media post about Indian-made cookies.
Came to Walmart today just to see if this was real. See this? Do you see this big box of like cookie things? These? And it says product of India. Product of India right there. I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for this.
Outside the snow is falling and friends are calling you home. Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you.
All right, I don't know. I'd still eat them. No, it doesn't really look like good food prep.
Still audio.
Really? Why though?
Okay, so
Get out of here. Okay, it should be gone now. Better?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. Would you still eat them, Ruckus?
No.
No, that was enough.
Mm-hmm.
Pharaoh,
this is
gonna have
this
any
is
more?
what it takes for people to worry about what's in their food. Good.
I know, right?
Yeah, dude.
Finally.
I've just been trying to dig for that bite for that meat allergy. So
Dude, I
it's,
was too. I was scrolling through our boiler room and I could not
yeah.
find it.
So it's actually they started noticing it in the early 90s. And then publications started coming out about it in the early 2000s. So, yeah.
All right. Just real quickly, here's the article I mentioned, or Spore mentioned that I picked up on 9 years ago. Apparently, gel injected shrimp, a growing problem in China. Actually, so this is from China. This is at seafoodsource.com. I'll link it on the show page. I'm not going to dig into it, but the ones I was looking at were actually coming from being imported from Vietnam. So that's probably a whole nother article. If I find that one, I'll put it up also. But we got some receipts here for some of the weird stuff.
Maybe the cesium's inside the gel.
Yeah, really, right? Okay. Anyone want to throw anything else out there? Or is it time to talk about Campbell's real quick here?
Let's go to Campbell's.
Yeah. All right.
It's good.
Right? I mean, Campbell's soup, my friends. I mean, think about that. If you're an American over like 35 years old, anytime you were sick when you were a kid, they'd say, go get some Campbell's chicken soup, right? Or anytime it was a holiday, right? Someone would be making pumpkin pie with like the Campbell's pumpkin sauce, right? Or all the popular green
bean
beans.
casseroles with the cream of mushroom soup.
Yeah, thanks for green beans and cream of mushroom, right? Like Campbell's soup is the classic. I mean, it's Norman Rockwell, it's Americana, right? It's supposed to be the one you don't have to think about. Now, there is that pesky little thing we know now about tin cans and how, maybe we don't really want to be eating out of tin cans and whatnot. But hey, it's good apocalypse food and on holidays, whatnot, whatever. But people are now trending searches on Google that say, how do I make my cream of mushroom soup without using Campbell's? Like that's literally a very popular search this holiday season. And we're going to show you why. This is posted all over the interwebs. I wouldn't know who to give credit to it. But this particular one's from I Meme, Therefore I Am. And they say Campbell's Soup VP and Chief Information Security Officer Martin Bally was secretly recorded saying the company uses bioengineered meat. Their products aren't healthy and that it's mostly poor people who buy them. Can you believe this? I am offended. I am totally offended. You shouldn't be this mean to people with low economic status. And on top of that, it's just an untrue statement. Most Americans buy Campbell's products. Anyway, I'm going to put the video on screen here for you so you can hear this this recording that someone got.
Campbell's Soup Company employee is taking legal action against the food giant, and he's making some explosive allegations about one of its top executives. Good evening, and thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Ty Steele.
I'm Kimberly Gill. Those allegations are now at the center of a lawsuit claiming the company's vice president went on an hour-long tirade attacking the company's products and employees before taking aim at its customers.
And the former employee recorded it all. Eric Erickson shares that recording and what the company is saying about it.
We have shit for poor people. Who buys our shit?
And that's just part of an over an hour-long rant, says former security analyst for Campbell's, Robert Garza of Monroe.
I don't buy Campbell's products barely anymore. It's unhealthy. Now that I know what the in it, even in a can of soup, I look at it, look at meat, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer.
The recording allegedly of Campbell's VP and Chief Information Security Officer Martin Bally.
He has no filter.
Bally, along with another supervisor and Campbell Soup Company, named in a lawsuit filed Thursday. The suit claiming Bally made racist remarks, admits to coming to work high, and Garza fired for coming forward.
What do you think about the things that he was saying?
Oh, just pure disgust.
Garza says he usually worked remotely for Campbell's headquarters based in Camden, New Jersey. But thinking he'd be discussing his salary with Bally, he says the recording taken in person at a restaurant.
They couldn't think for the like you dumb
Garza says he felt sick after the rant, deciding to go to his direct supervisor in January, keeping the recordings to himself.
He had never had any disciplinary action. They had never written him up for poor work performance.
Garza says no one at Campbell's ever followed up, and it's taken him 10 months to find a new job, calling the way the canned soup company handled it simply terrible.
They have a motto, like we treat you like family, here at Campbell's, come work for us, we treat our employees like family. That's not the case.
We did just receive a statement from Campbell's. It says, quote, "If accurate, the comments in the recording are unacceptable. They do not reflect our values and the culture of our company. We are actively investigating this matter." We've also reached out directly to Martin Valley.
Okay.
Who has now been fired. So I think the company has basically confirmed that this was legit.
Yeah. Pharaoh, do you buy Campbell's products, or did you used to?
No.
No.
I never liked them.
Oh, Mr. Rich and hoity-toity. No, I'm just kidding.
It's
Only a
so
sport
cheaper
like
to make
it.
freaking soup at home, dude.
Yeah. What about you, Bill? What do you think about that?
That's quite interesting. It definitely shows the arrogance of the corporateers there at the so-called iconic Campbell's Soup Factory. Something more specific, I looked up HEB.
There's music coming through somewhere, Mark. Do you have a music tab open, perhaps?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I don't hear it anymore.
HEB, the known grocer that's very prominent in Texas, is based in San Antonio, and they have one of the Southwest's largest milk and bread processing plants in the entire Southwest United States, just run by HEB, a regional statewide grocer. Here, everything's better, it stands for in Texas. This ties into the greater question I raised a few minutes ago. What are these food processing and manufacturing facilities? Where are they? Just all what's being made under how many roofs? How centralized and how mechanized is this thing? And what kind of ingredients? I mean, the cookies we saw from India look like a pretty shoddy, by the seat of their pants operation, not anything real high tech. On the other hand, you can bet Campbell's is very high tech. The amount of the amount of soup that they must produce to have it on all these shelves across the world, in the United States especially. Can you imagine the amount that they have to put out? And of course, that's a big part of it, right? This stuff is just quantity. They look at the food supply in the U.S. as just the aggregate amount of it. The quality of it doesn't seem to matter too much. Yeah, homemade soup and getting the right ingredients is the way to go, no doubt. Meanwhile, I'd like to be a fly on the wall at some of these HEB and Campbell's facilities and have a firsthand look at this. In terms of undercover reporters, we need the reporters inside the facilities being undercover.
Just to prove a point. When I worked in the restaurant industry, excuse me, I had access to, for various reasons at various times, I got to see and access the insides of a dairy processing plant and a bread processing plant. And they both shockingly had a very much similar procedure, something to what the common person who's not familiar with these things or doesn't work in the industry would think. What are you guys protecting against? Germs? So there's a whole, a clean room you have to walk through, and you got to wear the hair nets and the protective gear and all the stuff. There's PPP involved. And this was way before the pandemic, of course, and there's a lot of concerns and things that they take into account. And to see the handling of there's no bare hands touching food in processing plants. Let's just put it to you that way. However, the trade-off is, when you see what's really going on, is that the machines are all over that shit. Your food is literally being handled by all sorts of greasy looking engines and parts and bizarre. It's crazy. I brought up that show, but if you've never seen it, it's really eye opening, especially any episode involving food or candy. Candy's an interesting one to watch. How is candy made? It's dude, this is it's nothing like cooking food in your house. It's not even close. It's like building a car on a conveyor belt. It's absolutely insane. And it's just at what point the opportunities for failure are mind-boggling when you sit there and stop to think about it, because so much could go wrong. And we saw things go wrong during the mass production of the warp-speeded miracle juice delivery systems with the sharp points on them, right? During the pandemic, and where they're like, oh, oops, this was a bad batch because we accidentally dropped some motor oil in this tub over here. Like, wait, what? How did that happen, right?
Some of the
I'm
soybean oil
exaggerating.
found its
But yeah.
way in.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, and then what I was going to point out, Mark, is a lot of these processing plants, they involve the same type of thing. So they can what they do is like, I don't know if they do this for food, but they might. But like a conveyor belt warehouse plant will produce like wooden dowels that's all they'll make for like the day for like 24 hours straight, and then they'll shut down for 2 weeks, and then a company will hire them to make like, now you're making something else, but it's like something completely different in a completely different material, and then they just make nothing but that for 24 hours, and then they shut down again for a month. It's really wild how they do this stuff, but they do reuse the same facilities apparently, and they make everything in one large batch, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy stuff. And again, why now is my question. Why now are we being fed the shock value of the Campbell's story, which nobody said anywhere in there officially said that Campbell's is 3D printing food. He just said that when he looks at the label, he sees bioengineered. He's like, I don't want to eat shit from a 3D printer. And, so now the news takes it like, oh, shocking admission from Campbell's that they 3D print their meat. And I'm like, well, that's not exactly true. But there are some concerns, and people are scratching their heads now. And that's the type of story you need to inject through the mainstream propaganda feeds to wake people up. So what's the timing here? Do they really want this crappy system, which is crappy? It's a crappy system, and it'd be better if we all could, rely on cooking for ourselves. But that's not a reality for the vast majority of people these days. They depend on something like Campbell's soup. I mean, it's very important part of the whole ecosystem of what it means to be alive and an American and have food in your house. You know what I mean? If the grocery store shuts down, like everybody suddenly thinks, oh, we're all effed and there's no food. And well, they're right, because we did this to ourselves. It's not sustainable. And I think this is a sign of the cracking. And I think it's being done on purpose, because I think that they want to offer some sort of alternative. And I shudder to think as to what that might be, Hesher.
Yeah, me too. I don't like the
Of course,
sound of that.
bugs come to mind.
Yeah, exactly. Let me throw this one on real quick on screen. This is one Mystical Pharaoh sent us, another reference link for tonight's show page. This is from the alphagalinformation.org. So you can dig through this. It's got the research timeline on it. Pharaoh, anything you want people to take away from this, or you just want me to put it up as reference?
No, you can just put it as a reference. It just shows that, as I mentioned, it's early 90s, but applications start coming out in 2007. That's when they start more noticing it. So,
all right. And another one I want to throw up. Thank you, Burnin' Beard, in the Discord chat. We have a Discord chat, folks. If you're not in there, you might be missing out on some good stuff. We've got great listeners in there. Some of our very long time loyal listeners and viewers are in there, friends, and we're in there too. So it's a good place to keep in touch with us. But at any rate, Burnin' Beard, power user in there, put this one in, and I want to put it on screen so that you know that we're going to put this on the show page too. This may fall under opposition research, or there might be a there. I haven't read it yet, but it's from LymeDisease.org, October 27, 2022. When alpha gal syndrome is not related to a tick bite. So there's a whole article up here from the opinions and features section at LymeDisease.org that you can reference if this is all new information and you're curious, like we are, even though some of it is not new information.
What's the name of the research facility in New Jersey that I was thinking of?
Oh,
Plum Island. Plum Island.
Plum
right?
Island. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, New Jersey rears its head again on this episode of Boiler Room. That was a very New Jerseyan rant we heard from the Campbell's guy there. But again, it's like, what, is he wrong? Like, yeah, he's being a little pissy and hyperbolic, but is he wrong? I think that's really the main thing most people want to know. Let's
and
see.
then also what Mark said, I think is also very, a stark takeaway from the whole thing is the way a nice reminder about how corporations work and what they really think. I mean, because the guy got fired for calling this out, right? As he probably should. And then like the company didn't even do anything. Like he didn't hear from them for what did he say? 10 months? I mean, like, get out of here. Like this is the American their mission says, oh, we treat you like family. No, they don't. Corporations are only out for their bottom line at the top, and the little people are just there long enough to be replaced by machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just a nice reminder because again, we hear all of these stories when we talk about this, how the companies are replacing the workers with robots. Yes, these companies will do that in an effing heartbeat because clearly they don't give a crap about people who are their customers, by the way. That was the other shocking thing. I'm like, not only do you have complete disdain for your company, the people that work for your own product, but
the
also
people
your
that pay
damn
your
customers
salary.
who you make money off of. It's so
Yeah.
crazily disgusting. Like these people are beyond power hungry. There's something broken in their heads, dude.
Yeah, definitely. And Brennan Beard made a good point along with that article that you might want to consider. He said betting with the connections with PEG and polysorbate, I bet it is linked to a medical product. I'm just going to put it that way. I bet it is relinked to a injectable medical product that people often put the word injury behind when they're referring to something that is difficult to figure out, symptoms that are novel, if you will, recently occurring in humanity, if you will, right? There's a lot of that going around. All right. Anybody else got any comments on this before we kind of move along? I got a couple links you guys have sent me. I want to go through real quick here.
I'll mention, and I'll do it very briefly because you could go into it a lot. If you look back to Life magazine and Look magazine, particularly Life, they had the big coffee table magazines in the 60s, probably back into the 50s and 40s, but it was really big in the 60s to read Life magazine, put out by Time Life. Henry Luce, Luce, Henry Luce, who was Skull and Bones out of Yale, a real establishmentarian, probably counsel on foreign relations. When you look at the ads, all those iconic ads that were put together, with real artistry, I mean, they were very well done in terms of their composition. Cigarette ads, buying color TVs when color TV was a new novelty, and then food products like Wonder Bread. They really pushed Wonder Bread in Time Life circles, especially Life magazine. And if you look through a lot of the old ones, and my sister sells antiques, and I collect a few of them too, you find that they were pushing the continued and increasing processing of food through the 60s, particularly in real popular magazines like Life magazine. And they used a lot of very catchy advertising campaigns to do it. Campbell's Soup was in there big time. And they were pushing the whole idea of convenience, TV dinners, frozen TV dinners, and everything that you saw in there was nudging people away from home cooking and home gardening and nudging them toward processed food. That was a major advertising theme of those popular magazines that were very, there was text. I mean, there were articles to read, but the magazines were very heavy on photographs and visuals. And they used it in what looks like propaganda to push convenience and processed food and push people away from home cooking.
Very interesting, Mark. I am a Gen Xer, and when I think back to like my earliest memories of Thanksgiving, for example, it's like my grandparents were all greatest generation people, right? So it was like the parents of boomers for you young people. That's what that means. But they were sort of the generation that absorbed all that propaganda before we really understood how propaganda worked. You know what I mean? So it was like that was the generation that knew, how to make everything from scratch and knew how long it took, right? Like they had all those family recipes and hand-me-down recipes and that kind of thing, right? And knew, how to make bread and how to make flour and how to make pasta and all these things that we go and buy in boxes and bags nowadays, pretty much. And it's like the way that they sold that to them, in hindsight, for me, just as being a little kid and kind of seeing the difference in the cooking, the evolution of the cooking of some of my southern relatives that had heritage recipes and stuff. It's really interesting because it's like almost everything they brought in as a convenience was exactly that in the 60s and 70s and 80s. It was like, all of a sudden you've got options for the kinds of sugar, you've got options for the kind of flour, you've got shake and bake and these kind of things starting to show up, and just weird like packet meals like sloppy joe mixes and stuff like that. And grandma's just like, okay, cool, this saves me an hour and a half. That's great, I can spend an hour and a half more with the family and I have way less cleanup to do. So, but then there was this insane bait and switch, right? It's like the products weren't even bad at that point. The products were still pretty good, right? Because we didn't have all the chemical stuff. There you go, Hungry Man meals. That's a perfect example right there. Anybody remember the Swanson Hungry Man?
Yeah.
Oh man, like a Swanson Hungry Man from when that advertisement came out. If I can be a little British for a second here, like it's not that bad of food they're talking about in there, right? Like they didn't have all the crazy preservatives and stuff that we have now, right? They didn't last as long. But you know what I mean? It's like, but now it's like, well, you got used to the Campbells. You like that? You like that, Grandma? You like that, Mom and Dad? You used to that, Xers and Boomers. It's heritage. We all do it, whatnot. But guess what? They've changed it over the years. Changed the ingredients over the years. And anytime there is a means for them to make a financial deal with a chemical company or a food additive company, if you prefer, uh, the the nutrition and health of your meal is probably going to go down while their profits go up. I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as you guys said that earlier, right? They care about nothing but just bottom line. And for you, you are just they're gonna just try to bombard you with as much like propaganda as possible to keep this buying this, whatever they give you. And probably they are owned by the same people that are owning, same finance that also produce drugs for you to fix whatever the hell they do to you from eating the shit, right?
Yeah. That's a whole nother aspect of it, right? This whole like self-licking ice cream cone, where I'll give you an example. Here's a good example. I remember I think it was in 2012, Spore and I were in a grocery store and we had been sort of in a little research and, health and research and, big pharma and big ag research phase. And we're walking down the aisle where literally at the end of the aisle, they have those crazy chips that they were making for a while. I don't know if they still make them, potato chips, or I don't know what the hell. We have an international audience. We're not talking potato, or we're not talking potato, fries here. We're talking like, Lay's, or I think it was maybe Pringle. I'm not sure which brand it was, but they
Call them
made one.
crisps.
Yeah, they made one that had a chemical in it.
A Lestrum, and it was Lay's.
Lay's, thank you.
And I think they made them, they marketed them as being like fat free or something like that, but they had a warning label on them that said they gave people diarrhea. Like, it was like, yeah.
So on one end of the aisle, they've got these, chips with this cholesterol chemical in it that basically makes it like melt through your intestines quicker, right? Like, so it's going to fall through you faster than it can make you fat. I think that's the plan there, right? Thanks, guys. Science, bro. But right around the corner next to it, there was like some sort of antacid, or I think it was an anti-diarrheal or something like that. I can't remember, but it was like the exact medicine that over-the-counter medicine that you would need to counteract the diarrhea that you got from the chips. And lo and behold, both owned by the same parent company.
Sheer coincidence.
How convenient is that?
Brilliant,
We're
Mark.
gonna give you
It's
we'll give you
peanut butter and
diarrhea,
jelly.
and then you can buy the diarrhea medicine from us.
Yeah, it's just the PBJ phenomenon, which was a conspiracy put together by the big bread companies. I think I've mentioned this before. True story. Look that up.
Yep.
I'm not making this up. You can do some research. It's funny to me.
Yeah. And just another receipt for those of you who may not be knowing already. We didn't pull this out of our rear ends. This is from 2019, July 2019. CNN.com, ultimate mass media cartel right there. House of Representatives orders Pentagon to investigate whether ticks were once used as biological weapons. So your representatives don't even know what the answer is. At least they didn't in 2019. I don't know how that turned out. Who cares?
And just to correct myself, it was Alestra, not Alestrum.
Alestra. Thank you, Spore.
Good stuff. Alestra. That's in the drinks that I buy at the store.
Well, that explains a lot.
Hey, Hesh, for a point of illustration, I sent you a link. You'll see there a Bing.net link. It'll show the TV dinner ads from Life magazine. It'd be the last link that I sent.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, let me put it on screen here. Yeah, there you go. Full page. Trust Swanson for specially selected cuts of lean beef in natural gravy. Man, look at that, Mark. I remember those things like very well.
Yeah, you'll notice that the ad itself is very well done.
Yeah.
But what they're pushing, this is before digital art. This is hand done art.
Yeah. Photography and hand done art.
Yeah. I mean, they really had good ad people, but that's just it. Those good ad people were pushing a message that now that one looks like the bounty of food, the special issue, and all that. But again, when you read through all these back in the 60s, especially, you see that they'll celebrate America being very productive food wise and otherwise. But the nitty gritty is they're going for processing and major profits and growing crops as cash crops. And so you have communities like the one we live in where almost everything that's grown is not for local consumption. Only a small percentage of what's grown here in the Rio Grande Valley is for local consumption. That needs to change. That would be one of the most profound things you could do is get some necessary, sufficient state regulations and say in a given farm region, X percentage has to be for the local people to eat. And no more of this, just growing crops for money and sending them to Welsh so they can convert all your grapes into sugary grape juice. That there'd be some sort of sense of social responsibility with agriculture in terms of locality, in terms of nutrition, in terms of the substance of the food, and not everything just being surely for profit.
And the resources that are required to make said foods. I would like Gavin Newsom and people in California to listen carefully to what Mark just said, because they drain so much water for those almond fields. And guess what? 80, 90, some crazy percentage of the product goes to Canada, Australia, and China. Like the amount that Californians actually need is minuscule compared to the amount that gets exported. And who's got a water problem? You got a water problem over there. So something to think about.
That's a great point. And they'll send all those almonds to Canada and overseas, and then they'll get a bunch of almonds from somewhere else. Just like when I met Peter Sutherland once, and I complained to Peter Sutherland, who I met by chance, and said, why is Japan shipping all its rice away? That rice is for Japanese people to eat. not send it away and then bring rice in from somewhere else. How ridiculous is that? You avoid spoilage, you avoid contamination, you get crops harvested at the height of their ripeness, at the height of their nutritional value, right? And you don't need as much preservative if the food isn't traveling as far and it's intended for, relatively immediate consumption.
Right.
It's just, it leads to insane trade policies. And like you say, that's a very great point, that millions of tons of groundwater, aquifer water is being used in that manner only in areas that are already at risk of having drought, and then growing crops that are only to be shipped away, which is really, I won't use the word criminal, but I'm telling you, that is really, really irresponsible in a brazen sense.
That's kind words there, Mark. I don't know if I would have been able to avoid using the word criminal. Just to underline Spore's point here, thanks, Creative Accidents. TIL in 1998, Lay's introduced fat-free, quote-unquote, wow chips containing a fat substitute called olestra. They were incredibly popular with $400 million in sales their first year. The following year, sales dropped in half as olestra caused side effects like quote unquote abdominal cramping, diarrhea, and ANAL leakage. So
That's the same symptoms of the AGS from the tick, by the way.
what do you know?
Weird.
We've come full circle in our food adventure here tonight.
Could you imagine now? I mean, like now people are like, because they're always, or ChatGPT is now doing the diagnosing, but they self-diagnose. So they look up the symptoms. What if they ate a bag of Lay's potato chips with olestra in it, and they got diarrhea and cramps, and then they told GPT, and GPT says, "Oh my God, don't eat meat, you're gonna die," and so the person never eats meat again for the rest of their life. Neat.
Yeah, and by the way, Spore wanted me to point out anal leakage, quote unquote, yes, was listed on the warning label for your.
This is exactly what you want to see on your food label. They're the words anal leakage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe it was just canal leakage and the C got left off the word canal.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed a similar phenomenon on the label of one of my beverages that I was consuming for the holiday yesterday, where the first line, and I stopped at the first line and moved on, and I was like, wait a minute, and it said, according to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic beverages. That's what it said. Of course, then you have to move on to the next line over all the way to the left to see who are pregnant or might be pregnant. But as far as I could tell, all it said is that women should not drink alcoholic beverages.
So
like,
note to the marketing
sexist.
note to the marketing department there, you're losing half your sales perhaps.
But they probably don't care because we make alcohol for poor people.
Yeah, right. We don't care about them. I wouldn't drink this swill. That's probably what they're saying about you in the background. I mentioned Norman Rockwell earlier in the show. Mark, look at this. Terry says Norman Rockwell would do Saturday evening post covers. And I thought about that when you were showing some of these images. Like, look at the way they portray Life cereal. It's so
from
funny.
Life
like
magazine.
Does anyone think cereal is a health food at this point? I mean, aren't those days pretty much gone? I mean, I hate to say it. I know it's a nice late night snack, especially for you stoners out there, but I feel your pain.
Cereal's terrible. There's a lot to be said. It's food for like grazing animals, right?
Kibble. It's kibble for people, right? Like you buy this stuff for your dogs.
It seems humans need kibble. It seems every living thing needs a little kibble where you kind of forget that it's probably not good for you, but you eat it anyway, like a stoner would,
Yeah, right? Like, I think back, it took me so long to learn the lesson on cereal. Cereal was a staple for me, speaking of the people I'm talking to, is a staple for many, many years. And it was like, when I finally figured out, like, oh, even the ones I don't like, I'm talking to you, Cheerios, are not good for me, and they have genetically modified garbage in them, and they're nothing more than like just junk food. It was like, Okay. So we're in a new adventure here now. So I think our statements tonight around food really reflect that original epiphany that I had how many years
But
ago?
what
I
about
don't know.
all the fruit and fruity pebbles?
Well, get a
Oh
pass
yeah,
there, right? Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles, that's definitely real fruit.
I would always take the fruit out when I got mine.
Okay, Raisin Bran had raisins in it. I mean,
Yeah, coated in
Fruit
sugar.
Well, when you grow up and you read like, well, apparently 1% of those 1% of those raisins weren't raisins.
What were they,
oh
Ruckus? Mouse
god.
turds? Are you
Rat,
telling me they're
rat,
mouse
rat,
turds?
mouse turds. Yes, there's
Damn it,
a
man.
certain amount of each of them gets a
No nutritional
percentage
value there?
of allowed rodent droppings and bug parts.
Okay,
They're allowed a percentage.
let me get this
My
straight.
allowed
Bugs are
percentage would be
full of
0.
protein.
So what's been ruined tonight? Cereal,
appetite.
raisins, Campbell's soup, what else? Shrimp. I mean, we're running out of things to eat here. We're gonna have to change the topic before we end up start talking about turkey, and then we're all gonna just barf.
It's a good
Do
thing
you
we
guys
did this
remember that?
after Thanksgiving.
Do you guys remember the yogurt that was supposed to help with constipation that was giving people diarrhea?
Was that Go-Gurt?
No, I can't remember. I
Go to
feel
the
like I want
bathroom,
to say
Gert?
like a leave or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but it was
Sounds
like,
lovely.
yeah, it was like it literally like was very similar to the Lestra in that like I don't know what it was actually it contained. They marketed as like having like super good probiotics in it, but it like literally was like making people like stomach cramp and have diarrhea.
Oh boy.
Cool.
Yeah. No thanks. I'll stick to the normal yogurt or just maybe no yogurt.
And then your doctor
Ones
tells
I
you you have
can't hardly
Crohn's
believe.
disease.
Or just have
The ones that are
Kellogg yogurt and fruit.
Oh, sorry.
Say again, Pharaoh. Then we'll go to Mark. I mean, Bill.
Oh no, I'm saying, or you can have Kellogg cereal, fruit, and yogurt.
Oh yeah, right. That used to be health food too. I remember like in the early days, you'd go to a hotel or something, and it was like, oh, I can do yogurt and a box of raisins or fruit or something. That's health food, right? Go ahead, Mr. Durberg.
That's Bill Derberg to you. Hey, Mr. Bilderberg. Yeah, well, a side note is you go to just about every cheap hotel in the United States, especially Super 8. I don't know what it is about Super 8s, and you've got to have the Raisin Brand or the Fruity Pebbles or, Fruit Loops or something like that. And sometimes you're looking to see if there's any protein, a hard-boiled egg. Perish the thought there might be a hard-boiled egg or even yogurt. You might get lucky if you see some of those things, but it's so ingrained. Forgive the stupid metaphor. It's so ingrained in our culture. But the ones I can't believe that people eat are like Count Chocula. I mean,
Blueberries.
you're getting to the bottom of the big sewer barrel on that one.
Frankenberry. They had Count Chocula, Blueberry, and Frankenberry, right?
Yeah, I mean the amount
I
of
ate
sugar.
blueberry and threw that up, and that was one of the most traumatic experiences I had as a child, and
Was
I
that
never
the end
ate
of your
any of those again.
cereal experience, or did you keep
No,
going?
I still like cereal, but I refuse to eat any of those three, the blueberry, the Count Chocula, or the Frankenberry, because of my experience with the blueberry. It was the first time I ever tried it, and I vomited blue, and it was quite
Blue number,
traumatic. It was just,
blue
it
number
was not
5,
fun.
baby. Blue number
I
5
mean,
is good. It's good for you.
the amount of sugar and the food coloring is just off the page. And I mean, it's just absolutely well established that high sugar levels are bad for anybody, but especially kids growing up. I
Yeah.
mean, they talk about hyperactivity and giving the kids Ritalin and, all these syndromes that they assign to kids, but
So like
lowering the sugar levels dramatically in kids' foods would have a profound effect on their growth and their education.
So Mark, are you telling me that like lackluster behavior for people can sometimes be associated with a bad diet of GMO foods and genetically engineered corn syrup? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Mark? How dare you affront the American food system this way?
Oh yeah, it sends your adrenal glands spinning, and your glycemic levels just shoot up and spike. And if you keep doing that, if you keep having these glycemic spikes throughout the day, and it never gets a chance to settle down, that has a profound effect on your health. And I know a lot more about
Yeah.
those sort of things from my wife's condition. I don't mind mentioning that real generally, but yeah, it's sugar is becoming more and more of a real problem, and it always has been. And I've got a sweet tooth. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm
Yeah.
sneaking that cigarette once in a while, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yep. I think we all are. Some questions from the
But
peanut gallery here.
but Mark, I have to ask real quick. Would you say, could you guarantee though that you're gonna grow an extra ear?
I guarantee you, you're going to grow an extra ear. Yes, sir.
Or
Yeah.
turn into a chest burster. Okay. What do you guys dip your diarrhea lays in? I would probably, for myself, for my answer, I would have dipped those in I don't know, let's say like Pepto-Bismol. I think I would have dipped those in Pepto-Bismol. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, just put the Pepto right in the cereal. Just cut to the chase.
No, in all seriousness, ranch, of course. What do you think, Ruckus? What'd you dip your diarrhea
Oh,
lays in?
mine get soaked in hot water so they soften up so I can eat them because I have no teeth.
Blender, hot water, a little bit of horseradish sauce. Ruckus is good. What about you, Pharaoh?
Pharaoh may have stepped away.
Pharaoh stepped away for some lays.
He would drizzle it with his hookah hashish stuff
There
or
you
whatever
go.
it is.
There you go.
What's
All
the
right.
stuff that's called? It's not hashish. Sorry.
No, it's legal. It's legal with an L.
Yeah.
And then Valerie wants to know, is Rice Chex GMO? You know, Valerie, I have the same question because they make our bar mix at our favorite bar out of Rice Chex, and I don't know if I want to know the answer, quite frankly. I don't keep that kind of stuff in the house. Spore's smart enough to not let me keep these things around, but we do graze on them if we're out and about. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to know if
Rice is, of course, just starch, which is just a complex sugar, right?
yeah, exactly. And Silvertail 1947 doesn't want anyone to end up with that. So I'll just put that on screen. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, no one wants that.
Definitely do not want to see that listed as an ingredient in my
No,
food.
or a tag on our show. So I'm not going to say it out loud. Sugar corn pops syndrome. Yeah. What about the corn pops? That was one of my favorites. I like the corn pop. I went through a corn pops phase. I probably added Rice Chex to them and bleached sugar and thought I was doing pretty good for dinner.
Corn pops are great until you try Honey Smacks, and then you're addicted to that shit.
Okay,
Like, that stuff was good.
That was level up. I'll agree. Let's see here. Calling Larry minus Dr. Pepper. I want to break that so bad. Yeah. Best of luck, my friend. Best of luck. That's a hard one to kick right there. I know you can do it though. You've got our support here in the boiler room. If you need support group, you can join our Discord, and we'll help. Ruckus will tell you to drink some coffee instead of that Dr. Pecker. Okay.
Well, I don't know. Coffee's getting expensive. But then again, that's the other thing is like all of this terrible food, as terrible as it is for us, and it's not getting any better, it's certainly getting more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. And smaller as it gets expensive.
Well, you know what? That's a damn interesting thing you just said there, because check this out. Thank you for assisting me with a ride to the grocery store today. But before that happened, just for fun, I had the items sitting in an Instacart account because I wanted to compare how much, because I've been long suspecting that Instacart overcharges
Yeah,
their
they
prices.
do.
And now I have proof. So I put into my Instacart thing. I also wanted to know like what my budget was I was going to be working with when we did go to the store. So I was like, how much is this going to run me, the stuff that I'm usually get? So I just threw it in a cart there to see the prices, and I took a note of it, went to the store, and then when I got back home after I unloaded everything, I adjusted my cart in the Instacart to match every single item that I bought at the store where the Instacart shopper was going to shop at. And dude, I saved $30 just off the price of the food $30, bro. They were overcharging for the exact same items that I'm
Never
like,
mind
how
the
is this possible?
20% tip that they throw on there,
Well,
like
yeah,
by default.
yes, that didn't even count. Then there's the service charge for the delivery fee, and then the tip. So just the price of the food items. If they were just like to not charge me, if I like, hey, you get no service fee, and I'm not going to tip the driver, it should cost the exact same as if I went to the store. And it does not. Now, the other point, the reason I brought this up is because inside the cart, I had this little pepper shaker. And the pepper shaker, and it's still listed on the Instacart, the HEB page or whatever. It's the peppercorn costs whatever, the grinder, but the peppercorn grinder for that cost that they have in stock, and there's many in stock according to Instacart, is 1.26 ounces. No, it's not. It's now like just under 1 ounce. But it's the same. It's what's in the store. But when you're buying it online, you think you're getting 1.25 ounces. You don't. You only get 1 ounce.
Much anyways.
Right. And I'm just like, dude, so like the price is the same. The quantity has gotten smaller, and they haven't even updated all these online stores to reflect that. That's how quickly these things are happening. And people don't notice because it looks like the same size bottle. And who's going to pay attention? Like, just now people are opening their eyes to the ingredients. Now we got to open our eyes to like, wait a minute, how much does this weigh? How come this is like, I get half of this now and it costs 30 cents more for half of what's happening? It's getting scary, people. But the economy is great, according to the president, right?
So one thing is I want to mention here, since we're talking about pricing. They have been doing those like dynamic pricing models, right?
Yes.
Yep. So based on what you can afford, and now they are using AI and some of the data they collect from you, and basically to be able to charge you. So Ruckus will pay different from Hesher, different from me, right? And it's pretty crazy when you think about it, actually, that you're going to a store. I think recently I've seen some posts about a person went to Michael's and they removed all the price tags from everything, and they didn't know until they get to the cashier. It's pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah, I saw that too, man. That was a little much. It was just like, really, like different prices for everybody. Is that where we're at right now? Like, this is the American dream here. Like, you get a sliding scale for the cost of your paper stock or your hobby materials or whatever.
Here, I just dropped the link if you wanna. It's from BBS.
Is that like BBL?
When we first moved to this area, we were buying ribeyes that were about $11. They're about like a pound and a half ribeyes, and we'd split them because they're huge. They are now $19, and then this year we started buying a 4-pack of just like grass-fed patties, beef patties, and they were $9.99, and they are now $16.99. So they went from $10 to $17 in like, I don't know, what is this, 8 months? No, it's 10 months into the year, 11 months. But still, I mean, that is such a huge jump.
Yeah.
That's like 70% price increase.
Pretty defeating.
And
actually.
these are like exactly the same size they used to be.
Here's an article to support what Pharaoh just dropped out of dreaded government propaganda outlet PBS
I know.
News, the dreaded PBS. But hey, here it is. Get out of here, advertisement. Personalized pricing has spread across many industries. Here's how consumers can avoid it. So, hey, don't say we never brought you any solutions. And if those solutions don't work, don't say it's our fault. But hey, we brought you something there. That's out of PBS once again. Some
Since most people do their online shopping, they're shopping online. I guess you could probably trick the system by using like VPNs or something, right?
Yeah.
There was somebody in our Discord chat. As you mentioned, we do have a Discord. You should join it because it's not just one chat. It's multiple categorized chats. So we have one chat room set up aside for some people like to play video games. I bring this up because one of our users dropped something very interesting. It's a full list of where you should set your VPN to. If you want like cheaper flights, if you want cheaper Netflix, do this one. If you want cheaper airline baggage fees, set it to this one, like France. set it to, I think, Italy for cheaper software deals, that kind of thing. So if you set your VPN to a specific area or a specific country, you get a cheaper price that's tailor-made just for that area. But now we're talking about that on crack because they want to tailor-make it to you exclusively based on, all of the things, all of the data,
Your big data.
Yeah, which they certainly, they have a lot of that, and it's growing so much so that they have to build a bunch of data centers and pretend that they're building it for AI. Anyway, we've been discussing that at length here on these programs.
So like we got
catch up on the other shows for more on that.
Yeah, so we got like incentive programs, right? Like enter your phone number and you get a discount, or enter your phone number and it tracks you and then you get a discount. Well, it's like, well, what if it's just you enter your phone number and that's now the primary key for the database that shows how often you shop, where they then put you in a like an income category or something like that, and then all of a sudden your prices start changing. So, if you're a big spender at the store, I think you know what this means. Creative Accents made a good point here. How about those nutritional labels that you have to peel off a sticker to see? Things like fruit roll-ups and stuff like that, right? Like, remember those? They're still out there. They're literally like labels for stuff you buy at the gas station or the grocery store checkout stand, where you have to literally buy it and peel a sticker off of it to see the what's in it.
Well, there's this other disturbing trend now, and I'm like thinking this is the future, where they're not even going to list the ingredients at all. Instead, you just scan the QR code.
Like
no, they all have QR codes on them now.
Yeah, QR code, meaning like it's as safe as QAnon talking points, pretty much. Calling Larry says, "What is the Discord?" Ruckus, you kind of already said that, but just to let people know who may not know.
Well, if you're looking for how to join, you go to the website alternatecurrentradio.com, and then you go to the here, I'll pop it up. You go to the little hamburger menu there, and right down here it says Discord server /chat. You click on that, and that's an invite to join Discord. And Discord is it's like it's like a bunch of multiple chat rooms. It's like when you're in a live show chat room, like we used to have the live show chat room going on the website. It's like that, except 24 hours a day. And we got separate rooms for separate topics. So if you want to talk about geopolitics, there's a room for that. If you want to laugh at memes, there's a room for that. If you want to hang out with us on Saturday nights while we do our music mixtapes, and you want to dance along and have a good time and drink virtually and pass a virtual joint and boobies and all that fun stuff that we do on Saturday night, that's where there's a room for that, So
yeah. If you think we're wild here in the boiler room, you should hang with us on Saturday nights. We let loose in the Discord over there, and it's also a great place to drop links. And like if you want to give Spore an icebreaker suggestion, for example, we have a room for that in there. If you want to just share some photos or talk about technocracy or geopolitical, war, Skynet, climate change, Great Reset. I mean, we got a room for everything. We even have specialized rooms for religion and spirituality, kratom and chronic, brainstorming. We got a white pill room in there also. We try to, I haven't looked at that one in a long time.
We have to make a no pill room for Randy J now.
Yeah, good idea. The no pill room, right? I'm not sure what we put in there, but yeah, I totally agree. So anyway, alternatecurrentradio.com, that's where the invite is. Like Ruckus said, it's in the hamburger menu. And it's good to just visit the website, a couple times a week at least anyways, because we update the show pages throughout the week. We listen back to the show and go through all the listener feedback and we don't always succeed, but we try pretty hard to reference link the crap out of our shows, because I know we go kind of fast, although we've been criticized for going slow and talking about food for an hour and 48 minutes, point taken. But yeah, it can go pretty fast as far as links and receipts go. So we do our best to get that all up on the show pages for you, which you can find at alternatecurrentradio.com. We got some Captain Crunch enjoyers in here. You have a upper jaw ceiling of steel, my friend. I don't know how people eat those regularly. Those are roof of the mouth shredders. I think
That's true. I remember that about those. That was terrible.
And you mentioned grape nuts in the Discord, Ruckus, equals torture.
My God, that's like
same
eating pebbles. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like crapping out pebbles too.
You could submerge that in milk for like a week and it still stays crunchy. What does that tell you? It's probably like, is that even food?
Yeah, totally.
It's almost as if it's finely ground gravel.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just mention too, I have to send a text. They claim Rice Chex is not GMO to answer that one question.
Oh, okay. So I can eat it at the bar. Good.
They claim, according to Tiny Kitchen Divas.
All right. Well,
But not wheat, not the wheat Chex, Hesher. Stay away. That's got gluten and I'm just kidding.
I don't eat the brown ones, man. Only the white ones. I'm sorry. When it comes to Rice Chex,
What are you, Chex racist?
Yeah, well, yeah. Frankly, yeah, I'm a Rice Chex supremacist because they are the supreme Chex. I'm sorry, it just is. Okay, let me look through our links here real quick. We need to talk about Black Friday a little bit. Ruckus, what's going on with the shoes, man? What's going on with sales and things on Black Friday?
I don't, you know what? I don't know what's going on with the weird shoe story. That was something that was shared by Creative Accidents, which was just absolutely fascinating. But according to this guy, the shoe, they're having troubles with the shoes. But this could very well be a bellwether for where we're headed. But it's a TikTok video. I can send you the link here, Hesher, so you can play this if you want.
Send me
so
the
we can
link.
Just get context. There it is. But this is probably not a good sign because like people like their shoes, and I brought this up a number of times already. People fighting over the last pair of sneakers. That was a reality just a few years ago. I mean, people will still literally shoot and kill each other for a pair of sneakers. There were still stories like that happening even during and since the pandemic when people's priorities started to change. But shoes are important, and it's a sign that there's extra money floating around in the economy. It's not an actual like official statistic. I don't think they track like the on the CPI and the inflation and all of the data's the numbers that we're not getting this year, this month because the government was shut down. But I think anyone who understands the way the economy works is a bellwether, as it were. But go ahead.
Okay, so Hustle Bitch posts, the sneaker market just collapsed and nobody knows why. A sneaker shop owner says the entire market, quote unquote, died overnight. And the numbers are insane. Shoes that were $500 to $600 now won't move at $300. Jordan 1s, I don't know what those are. I assume they're an Air Jordan of some sort, sitting for $90. Dunks and GRs gathering dust. Never heard of them. Even Heat priced under retail isn't selling. Oh, they're using lingo. Yeezys, once the safest resale shoe on earth, are tanking everywhere. He straight up asks, okay, we'll just watch the video. I think he's going to talk about it in here, but let's give the shoe shop owner a shot here in the boiler room.
Does anyone want to explain why shoes are literally just dying right now? I own a sneaker store and we've been struggling for the last couple months. And y'all can say, oh, it's because you overprice things. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, it's a Yeezy. You're overpricing it. It's $110. Retails like $2 something. Market's like $190. I'm pricing it at $110. It's brand new. An off-white lot dunk, which you haven't been able to get for 4 years now. Used to be going for $500 to $600. Market's like $400. We haven't priced at $320. A shoe that's sold out, hard to get. A SB Navy 4. It's used, but $210. That's like retail. And then you have stuff that are like Jordan 1s, like these shattered backboards that just came out. We were charging like $170 for them or something like that, which retails higher. And then we got like Lucky Greens, the Royal Toes. All these things are going for well under retail, and we haven't priced under retail. For example, like a yellow ochre, which is not even a bad shoe, is going for like $90 in store here, which is crazy. Retail's like what, $170? It's definitely an interesting time in the sneaker world right now. And you'd think that people would be coming to sell us their shoes too because the market's down. They just want to get rid of some stuff. But that's not even the case. We haven't had a lot of people coming to sell to us. I mean, last week we did buy a lot of shoes, but this week we're a little slow. So if you guys are looking to sell us your shoes or come and buy some shoes because you're looking to buy the dip, then please stop by 1049 East Imperial Highway, Placentia, California. It's Hidden Realm.
All right. Well, Hidden Realm's not doing very good.
That's very interesting because you would think there's usually some sort of correlation. What he said there is very true. If it's really a normal sign of times are tough, right? So, because the normal consumer who buys shoes is not running in and buying new shoes right now, but they're also not. It must not be so tough that they need to sell them in order to live. So what's going on? What has changed? Something has changed here. Something is broken in this entire system. That again, like it or hate it, again, this is what our economy is around. I mean, dude, that's ridiculous. Yeezys, like that's a good point. Like, I mean, I was like thinking, man, the entrepreneur in me wants to go buy all those shoes out from this guy because they're so damn cheap and sit on them until I can make some money on it on eBay. But now I'm concerned. I was watching a video, a live stream from Jason Burmis, the Berm. Shout out to Jason Burmis and the Burmis Brigade. He was doing one of his walk and talk videos, walking his dog or whatever. And he was mentioning how like the cost of electronic devices have traditionally year upon year gone down. So like if like the brand new Xbox comes out and then it's like hot and new and it's expensive, and then you wait like a year or two, or when the next one comes out, and then you can get that old one for super duper cheap. It's not happening that way. And he says like electronics, he bought like you would buy like a hard disk drive with a terabyte on it for X amount of money 2 years ago. The same one now, 2 years later, would be like usually cheaper because now you can, now you can get a 5 terabyte for now the 2 terabyte not only is not cheaper, the same one is not cheaper. It's now more expensive. The prices are going up. They're not going down. Things are something has changed. So I cannot wait to see the reports about how Black Friday went. I already saw early reports that things aren't going well, that people's shopping habits have completely changed thanks to, hope you're sitting down for this one, AI. They say that people are actually now using AI as shopping. And then of course there's this story right here that, the retailers are already front running. They know what's up. They've got their pulse on what's happening in the economy in America because they are the economy in America. This is a consumer-based economy. Again, like it or hate it is what it is. And when we stop consuming, because that's what we're seeing here, well, for them to maintain their bottom line as the demand goes down, you see what's happening with the prices, and this is a bad time for this to happen in the midst of inflation, under the greatest economy ever in America under Trump, naturally, of course, but we can't prove that because we don't have numbers for this last month. But yeah, I say these stories speak for themselves, my friends. But that's
I think we're seeing a trend here, man. So that one he's referring to for you audio listeners is called, it's from CNBC. It's called How Black Friday Became a Retail Letdown. To sustain the ride, they started to dilute it. And one of the noteworthy comments there is from the CEO of Sears, right? Sears, remember Sears and Roebuck, Sears Canada. Quote, the integrity of the event is pretty much gone. In today's day and age, promotional pricing just gets better and better from a consumer's point of view the closer you get to the holiday. So, yeah, there seems to be a slump. There's definitely traffic at the grocery store today, but didn't see a whole lot of traffic at the big box stores. We didn't drive by Target or Walmart, but still, it didn't look like it used to, right? It used to be like fights to get in the door. It used to be fights over the last flat screen TV, fights over the Labubu dolls. I don't know, whatever the hell.
People would camp out like they do for their iPhones the day before just to get their discounts on their big screen TVs and their sneakers.
Which people
did that.
They don't do that anymore for iPhones either. Like it's been a decade since I've seen a shot of an Apple store with people going around the corner because it was iPhone day. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but I mean, it's not like it used to be in 2016, 2015, 2014. Like when a new one come out, it would be crazy mayhem around the corner, long lines, people camping out. I don't think people do that anymore.
So
all right.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's the economy is it just it's really fucked? Like people don't want to admit it. I mean, are we in a recession or a depression or something?
I think it has a lot to do with the internet. I think people that still have functional credit cards and whatnot are doing what they were doing before, but they're doing it from home. And I don't blame them. But yeah, I think there might be a deeper, darker thing going on, and it's economics. What do you think, Mr. DeBerg?
I just texted something that is just a typical claim, and this might explain part of it, that they're saying Americans are spending a record 11.7 billion online on Black Friday, up 8.3% from last year. So they're saying or claiming that you're not seeing as many people cramming into the stores because they're shopping more online. And I'm sure there's some truth to that. One of the factors that's unavoidable is we have a debt-based system, and that means exactly what it sounds like. Once a person, the average person, reaches that low threshold, that low ceiling on actually having cash to spend, then they have to turn to debt. Some people even get holiday loans. You can get a loan here in South Texas to pay your utilities, and the interest rates are absolutely astronomical. It's insane. I get those things in the mail. I guess a lot of us do. It says pay to the order of through the window, and it kind of looks like a check, but it's actually a very high interest consumer loan. And then people, of course, will sometimes succumb to those and then use credit cards. And so people are in personal debt, sometimes to the point of having their belongings, like let's say an automobile, eventually repossessed as a consequence. But people are in personal debt just to make consumer purchases oftentimes. It wasn't long ago that the average person couldn't come up with $400. There was some kind of survey, and the average American, if prompted in a short amount of time, something short notice, could not come up with even $400 cash. Most of what's going through the economy to buy things is a debt instrument, a loan, a credit card, a home equity loan, constantly putting more liens on your property, and that property will therefore never be paid off. All of a sudden, they come out with reverse mortgages that seem to fit right into these things. They're getting rid of the penny. Now, that may be inconsequential, but I wonder about where that might be going. But the one thing we don't have in the economy is just straight up cash to spend. Instead, people have debt instruments. And there's a myth out there that if you put more cash in the economy, you'll have instant inflation. That's not true. You would have that if you had relatively low productivity and you dumped a lot of cash in the economy. But when you have high productivity, lots of imports, the economy could actually afford to have more liquidity and cash and get away from credit cards, get away from consumer loans with monstrous interest. And people could, of course, they have to learn to have a little discipline maybe, and not spend all their cash on gifts and trinkets and games, and save some of it for food and shelter. But the debt instruments that are used in the debt-based system is a huge problem, because eventually the debt gets so unserviceable, and more money has to go to service the debt. And then you have bankruptcies and people having to move out of their expensive apartment into a cheap apartment, or move back home with mom and dad, move back home with grandma and grandpa, because you can only get so much debt in the system before it begins to screech to a halt. And you cannot service the very debts that you're making in order to purchase things. That's where the real problem is. It's not so much that the Fed prints too much money. That's not altogether true. If you look at the money supply versus what's produced, the money supply is significantly smaller than what's produced. And then not all of that money supply is personal income. And then you have the disparity of wealth, where you have huge concentrations of wealth into fewer and fewer and fewer hands, which is partially a consequence of the debt system. But simply put, people are turning to debt, and they have relatively low paying jobs. There's not much cash available to the average person in terms of making straight cash purchases. And that's just the reality of it. So going online might encourage, people might use a debit card, which would just tap their cash equivalent assets in their checking account. But when you shop a lot online, there's that temptation then to also use a credit card. So
And they have afterpay stuff now, or they're like, or Karma or Klarna or whatever. They're like, pay for this now in 3 easy installments with like a 20 million% interest rate attached to
Yeah,
it.
right. It's like, oh, I can't spend $489 on this, but I could spend 130 on it, every month for the next 4 months. And like, it's like no credit check, none of that stuff. It's just like, boom, hop in, jump at it, boy. Get you get some expensive, goodies for the holiday season. Look how on sale they are. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Go ahead, Pharaoh. I got the video that you linked me here. Also, we should probably show that.
Yeah. Before we do the video, I just wanna. Yeah, this is the one from Best Buy. There's a few of them actually. So I think one of my thoughts of what we're witnessing is the money supply that's basically they pumped right during COVID. It's finally drying out.
The $7 trillion extra dollars they
That's
printed.
right. That's right. Well, they didn't even print. It's basically the so the banks are the one who issues the debt, right? So it's basically all the monies you just and the debt and loans they issued where people just went and spent it on.
Like they make bonds and notes, and like
Yeah.
it's not just like they turned the money machine on and printed $7 trillion. It's like all these different means to inject that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see here that last link I posted. Basically, Amazon is keep cutting like crazy. And I just wanna no the last link, Hesher, I posted the one
Oh,
last
okay,
from
okay.
MSN.
I got you. It's coming. The MSN link here. Amazon layoffs hit nearly 2,000 engineers.
Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit to the paragraph after the video, there's like a video.
Yeah. Am I even close? I feel like the site
Hold
is
on,
messing with me here. This is MSN we can thank for this one.
yeah, but basically I can say basically what they are saying here.
Oh, here we
is-
go.
You have to hit continue reading.
Got it. Thanks, Ruck. Okay, there's the video. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Like the cuts did not fall evenly across the company. Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Alexa and devices feel the sting as Amazon narrows its AI
No,
bet.
the cuts did not. Yeah, exactly. Consumer-facing business that expanded aggressively during the pandemic, right?
Pushing for
including online
efficiency.
store, were told to rebalance their engineering investment toward projects with clearer profit path, right? So my point is, this is something that is not just Amazon, but a lot of those companies that just went and expanded massive investment of capital as well as hiring right after the pandemic and during the pandemic, right? So that they can bank on all those profits. Now they are basically rebalancing. So now once they did the wealth transfer of them taking all the money, right? They injected and now it went into their pockets and their shares, right? Now you, sucker, are going to get laid off, right? And good luck to you. So I think that's what we're witnessing is just it's basically it's a reflection of this really economy that we're living in right now, where it's a consequences of what happened during the pandemic, pretty much.
Mhm. Right. A massive dump of economic, quote unquote wealth.
Do you want to know how many specifically? The reports are in. So far in 2025, tech layoffs, just the tech layoffs, that what Pharaoh's describing here, affected over 180,000 workers across more than 400 companies. So that is It says here 112,732 tech employees laid off from 218 U.S. tech companies. Wow.
And they are not going to hire
What's
again.
going on here? Yeah.
They're not going to get hired again.
Yeah, they're laying off. Pharaoh, what do you think about this? What I'm about to say? I would wager they're laying off human workers that can be easily replaced with AI agents.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair point too, right? Is a lot of this is as they're trying to increase their profits and automation comes in, they will be laying them off. So one interesting thing I was reading, since you got into this, companies now basically are laying off more juniors, right? And they stopped hiring juniors, which is really how you build knowledge, right? So think about how the only way for the country to build knowledge, right, is by hiring those fresh graduates, juniors, right? Because they are paid less, right? And they absorb knowledge, right? And then once they get too expensive, you can lay them off, right? But now they stopped hiring juniors.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because what you're going to end up with is a lot of unemployed, underskilled people. And then Trump come and say, well, we need H-1B visa holders because we don't have the skill sets. So it's a very, very interesting, really like dynamics and a contradicting sentiments from what the government say to actually what's real on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And what
They all
are
seem
we?
to agree that we suck. The human employees are terrible. Like, oh no, we either need to replace you with the H-1B1 visa people, or we need to replace you with robots. But either way, you can't stay here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, right?
The customer's always wrong and the employee's always wrong, right? Like that's the new model, I guess.
And then I guess it's no coincidence that you have which one was it that said this? I think it was Sam Altman, where he's like, I dream of the day soon where, like, he says that he's going to be replaced by AI. A CEO says, I'm going to be that means my job is complete when I'm replaced by the machines I'm building. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
Shut up.
I know. Okay, so the post on this video tweet that we're going to see here, video post on X, says, because now stores will run it for a month rather than a day. And I've noticed this, like, Jill and I were talking earlier tonight, like, do we need to do any like Black Friday shopping? Like, my birthday's coming up, Christmas is coming up, or do we only have today to do that? No, actually, no. Most of the online stuff that we're interested in has been available on like sort of pseudo Black Friday for weeks already, and then going down maybe a little bit more today. But here's let's play this video. So for our audio only listeners, we're seeing footage from inside of a Best Buy here, and it is completely abandoned. They've got stacks of flat TVs, and it said no one in 2005 would believe this is what Black Friday shopping would be in 2025. And yeah, I can agree with that. The footage that we used to see in 2005, between like 2005 and 2012, maybe 15, was nuts. Literally, people just like a zombie apocalypse. Like, you ever seen the movie that was filmed in the mall by Romero, right? Dawn of the Dead. It was like that, like a zombie apocalypse happening in your freaking Walmart or whatever. But hey, not anymore. That's Best Buy now. I didn't go there today because I was afraid it was going to be gnarly, but it looks like no one goes there.
And then if you scroll up, Hesher, like I posted like 2 other links, which is really interesting because that's another crap that they do right now. And I have been doing this. So when I want to buy something, I don't buy it right away. I have to observe the price for a long time, right? To pick the right point, especially online, because I learned that all those prices are just fake, especially when they say deals, right? So I can bring them back down.
I got one from Wall Street Apes here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is two of them.
Okay, let me share this one to all of us and all of you. Yeah, we'll see what we got here. Put it in the big mode.
Is this a fake Black Friday sale? Am I just not understanding how sales work? But here's an example from Amart Furniture, 20 to 60% off, absolutely everything store wide. And here's a product they've got listed as was $3,499, now $2,799. But if you take that URL and pop it into the Wayback Machine, what we quickly realize is, that same product used to sell earlier in the year, just back in May, for $1,999. Used to be $3,299. So since then, somehow the price has increased, and you're actually paying about $800 more. So Amart Furniture, what's up with that?
And then open the other one. That's from Costco.
All right. Let's see. What does Costco have for us this year? If you're a longtime Boiler Room,
Sam Club. Sorry, Sam Club.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, if it had been Costco, some of you know Spore and I have a colored relationship with them. But here we go. Sam's Club, next best thing.
This is a Black Friday deal. $15.98 for this 40-gallon, right? Behind it, it's cheaper. They are scamming us, guys. This is Sam's Club. Can't believe it.
These corporate people think they're so smart, and anybody with a TikTok account can see stuff like this all day long. Like everybody, the level of like pure raw American skepticism right now is it's up there with these drones. It's higher than these drones. The level of skepticism is like way up here. I love that. I think that's hilarious.
That is a good thing.
Yeah, just even like I'm not even talking about well-informed skepticism, just general skepticism induced by being on social media. Like I know social media is destroying the planet and destroying society, but I can't help but accept that and love the fact that so many people are just like inherently skeptical after what's gone on the last few years.
Well, social media is mainly a platform. I mean, in its essence, television to me is far more damaging.
Well, there's a good argument to be made for that.
The fact that they're not selling TVs has a political aspect to it. If you think about it, the TV is analogous to Orwell's telescreen in 1984. The fact that people aren't buying TVs as much may not have a huge political meaning or implication, but there is a political aspect to it. If people turn that damn thing off and use it a lot less and don't spend their hard-earned money on those things anymore, that's a good trend. Even if you're not particularly enlightened about how the establishment works, just having less exposure for your kids to that thing just by itself is a good thing, let alone the deeper political implications.
Yeah, but Mark, the TV replaced the other common thing that was found inside living rooms nationwide, which was radio. And of course, the television has been replaced now by the black mirror in your pocket.
And
right?
we tried so hard to cling on to that radio aspect, right? We are alternate current radio. That's our website. And we came into this game as audio people, right? Like we came in to this swim lane as people that wanted to do good content and have high quality audio. And we spent many years developing that and perfected it. And as we perfected it, it became the kind of thing where it's like, oh, you do a podcast? Wait, what do you mean? Where's the video part? Sounds like old people radio. You know what I mean? We get comments like that from from younger listeners, and it was like, all right, fine, you want to see our ugly mugs, we'll get there, we got it, we'll set you up, you can look right up my fucking nose and all that fun stuff. We're in full 1080p here, and all that glorious stuff. So
with original graphics and all
yeah,
the
man,
bells and
right?
whistles, man, I think we did all right for radio people, Hesher.
Right? I even had someone tell me recently I look better on YouTube than I do in real life, and I was like, hey, thanks. I think they were just trying to
I
compliment our.
didn't mean it. I'm sorry, Hesher. I take it
Well,
back.
you were just trying to
No, it
compliment
wasn't
our
me.
camera setup, and I appreciate that because a lot went into it. So I'm down with it. I'll take the hit on that one. Let's see.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
we all knew, tongue in cheek, jokingly, that you could do radio in the nude, right? No one could see you.
Have done.
Not that it happened real often. I knew a
Yeah,
guy that
not very
once worked
often, but have done. Definitely have done.
You
I
could
knew a guy that
broadcast
worked
from
in a
your bathroom.
newspaper.
Yeah.
He was a correspondent just working out of his home, and he would just joke, "Well, I write my best news stories in the nude." He would say he didn't have to go to the office. He would just write from home, even though he was a staffer at this one daily paper in Western Michigan. But yeah, that's always been sort of the inside joke. Well, radio, man, they can't see you. You could be, in the most uncompromising of position.
We exploited all that with great edification and amusement until Mike Ryan made us get on video at TNT. So actually, no, we were on video here in the boiler room before that, but that was when it was like really official. Like me and Adam stuck our real names on it and our real faces and all that, and really stepped out into moving traffic without our pants on. So that's where we're at right now. We appreciate everybody.
There's one other element to consider here, just trying to play detective again about the TVs at least. I also have a theory about the sneakers, but for the TVs, there's not been there. What has changed in the technology of television recently? For a little while. Exactly. So maybe that, why do you have to buy a new TV? Nobody needs to buy a new TV, do they?
You
There's
can
nothing
get
new.
right, like you can get. We're talking about 2005 here. People fighting in Walmart over the last flat screen. Okay, the 2005 flat screen you were getting wasn't very flat, first of all, and secondly, it wasn't running 4K. Okay, now everybody's running 4K, and we just spent the last 5 years being able to walk into Best Buy with hardly anybody there, or Target, or wherever, and say, "Yeah, my TV's on the fritz. I need a new one. I'd like the flat one with the high resolution." Boom, you got it. $150, $300. You could spend $4,000 on it. You can go grab yourself an 8K TV if you're balling right now. If you're balling and not on a budget, like the rest of us, trying to ball on a budget, you got all kind of crazy options. And there is that. There's always the high end aspect of it available for those that are, not balling on a budget. And those are still out there. You can get crazy 8K TV right now for like fucking $15,000 or something like that, but you don't need it. And you're going to have a hard time finding some media that actually plays in 8K or whatever. Like, we're just now able to really find like, okay, I got this streaming device. It plays 4K video. Boom, I can throw it on here. It was $150, no problem. Cool. So yeah, no one, us plebs, us people that are balling on a budget, we don't need an 8K television, and we probably bought a 4K television in 2020 on our Trump money.
I was happy with 720p. I don't know. I don't even know what 4K looks like.
It's a good actually post I someone wrote today. Was Black Friday is a good reminder that everything people need is insanely expensive. Everything they don't need is cheaper than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Right. So they can't. You want 60-inch state-of-the-art TV, never been cheaper. You want a house and a car, never been more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what they wanted. Is they wanted you to not spend on really anything of value. They just want you to buy garbage that's just going to be garbage next
Cheap
day.
crap. Cheap crap.
Exactly. Cheap crap. So it's yeah.
Cheap crap is getting a little bit better, though. I gotta say, some of the cheap crap you can find out there is pretty high quality cheap crap. But the problem is, what we consider cheap crap is not cheap anymore. It's expensive. All right, are we? Did I miss any links you guys sent me? Do you guys have anything you want to bring up? Because I got a couple rapid fires I want to throw your way before we shut it down.
Well, related to the economy, but this might be a lead-in to one of your stories, things are not always tough for everybody. Like, I hear the FBI agents are doing all right with all the overtime they've been earning.
During the shutdown? What do you mean? I thought they were home.
Well, they were busy beavers, Hesher, because we gotta hurry up and redact all those Epstein files.
Oh, right. But while the president says, "Hey, you got to release those to the public," right? 10 months later, 8 months later, you need to release those to the public. But we spent the last 8 months redacting all mentions of my name and a certain country's name. But okay, yeah.
So I had this great article from Ken Silva over at Headline USA. It's a short one, but he just pointed out how the FBI agents reportedly were working around the clock in March to redact. That's right, all those little black lines that you see on the paper. Redact the information for the impending publication of the Epstein files. Of course, we know about this, but CNN reports, quote, FBI agents are working around the clock, some in 12-hour overnight shifts on a frenzied mission this week, end quote. That's what they reported. Also saying that, quote, for hours, agents sit at banks of computers using editing software to identify redactions required under federal laws, including the Privacy Act. The material also includes video, end quote. Here's the kicker. According to Bloomberg, those agents were paid well for their work. They received $851,344 in overtime for working on the Epstein files between March 17th and March 22nd. That's a lot of moolah to be made in a small amount of time. Maybe we're just in the wrong job. Maybe we should be working for the FBI redacting Epstein files, and we'll be doing okay. That's I mean, like the truck drivers can't even make that much money, right? And they make good money, or they used to before the robots came.
Yep.
Shit should be replaced. This is the best job to be replaced by AI, by the way.
Yeah, can we replace these ones? These sound like good jobs to replace. I remember reporting on this back then when that first came out, and I just thought, my first thought was, how ridiculous is this? Like, think about this, the absurdity of taxpayers, right? Taxpayers paying the feds to hide evidence. Okay. Like, let's just think about that for a second. Is that not, Bill, am I tripping, or is it absurd to think that we have a legion of 24/7 feds who are going through Epstein evidence and redacting information? Am I tripping here, or is this a?
Can I also point out that this is not talking about this new release of it? These are the ones that were sitting on Pam Bondi's desks that disappeared.
Right, the ones that we saw the binders being handed out to people for. So this was the information that you could already go and just buy Whitney Webb's book, or subscribe to Johnny Vedmore's Twitter page, or listen to 10 Years of Boiler Room and suss out all the Epstein conversations. Like, so all that stuff was out there. Like, we did a better job here in the Boiler Room than they did filling those binders. Those binders were full of nothing, basically.
They had to spend close to $1 million just to add all those black bars.
So $1 million taxpayer dollars. It's just a fart in the wind when they're printing, 7 trillion every time they fake a disease. Some people might say. But anyway, Mark, what do you think about that? Just like taxpayers paying basically to have feds hide evidence about one of the cases that, this administration kind of ran on. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino talking to you guys.
Well, the bigger picture of it is it's an alteration of history. If those redactions are permanent, and I think most redactions are, then you're erasing from history the associations of people with Epstein. Again, it goes back to the model of 1984. O'Brien would oversee Winston, and Winston's job was to sit down and put a photograph in the place of another one that isn't even the person being documented, to replace whole blocks of text with false blocks of text. Winston's whole job in 1984 was to alter and falsify history. So if you take public records or evidence like that and you falsify it in a way that can't be reversed, then you're literally altering history.
I don't like that. I don't like the idea of that, Mark. We're supposed to know our history so that we are not doomed to repeat it, right? Isn't that like ancient wisdom? Isn't that like, Sun Tzu or, something like that? I mean,
Oh, that's the worst part of everything right there. If the news is warped, and it's mainly the mass media cartel, and if the news is shorthand for history to be cataloged later, then we are in a heap big of trouble here. That
Well-
means CBS, NBC, ABC are the main purveyors of news, whose work then becomes our history. Now, if that doesn't disturb you, I don't know what will, because if you don't know your past, or if the past becomes just hopelessly distorted, then everybody is just sort of living this severed existence. You're severed from your ancestors and your past, and you're kind of just floating. There's that word flotsam again.
Yeah.
Into the future with this huge question mark hanging over your head like the sword of Damocles. There was a quote attributed to one of the CIA leaders,
William Casey.
Oh, yeah, Casey. Yeah, who I think Bob Woodward, who they say is this great investigative journalist. I'm not so sure, but Casey was quoted as saying, and you don't always know if these quotes were accurate, and I think some of us are familiar with it, that they would so rewrite history to the point where no one would know what's true anymore, and there'd be no more wisdom to draw from. And no one ever absolutely proved to me that Casey said that, but I do think that's sort of one of the jobs of the CIA, Central Intelligence. I don't think they're really out to defend mom and apple pie and Thanksgiving turkeys and the Constitution.
The integrity of Campbell's soup.
Yeah, they're out to protect corporate power with the respect of that corporate power, with the respect of government, and to keep the system must not die. And that seems to be what the CIA is really about. But yeah, the rewriting of history to this degree is probably the worst part of the whole thing. That today's news becomes tomorrow's history. That is really, really disturbing.
Well, Mark, you just like touched the bone right there. You just took steel to bone as far as what the boiler room is here for, and
That's right.
That's the thing that keeps me coming back to the microphone for a decade or more. Is, hey, your history is being rewritten in real time, like dynamically being rewritten, like you're being fed propaganda, and then propaganda becomes policy, propaganda becomes legislation, propaganda becomes war, propaganda becomes ill health, propaganda becomes the end of your society, propaganda becomes, a whack Friday, basically, with radiated shrimp, overtime secrets, and tech wife mafias, which we will get to before we close out tonight. But that's why we're here. These assholes are literally rewriting history in real time. All you have to do is study Wikipedia. What's the account name? I need to remember as Wikipedia goes. I can't remember. Reference Sunday Wire. We've talked about it many times. There's an account that gets like over 100,000 edits a day based out of Virginia. I wonder what part of Virginia that account lives in. I think there's a whole room of people occupying this account in Langley, probably sharing the login for it and literally rewriting Wikipedia in real time as bullshit events unfold. So
You know, Wikipedia has an address. It's in San Francisco.
that's right. It's not Virginia. It's not Israel. But I could show you Cross. I believe the account is Philip Cross. I think Philip Cross is the account in question that makes hundreds of thousands of edits on Wikipedia per day. So, you know, this is also happening. And I had a great conversation with all of you about this here in the boiler room. And I had an offline conversation with Randy J about it. And I was giving him my unified theory of converging conspiracies. My unifying theory of converging conspiracies is that currently, right now, starting with when Fuentes, Ye, and Milo and Jones showed up on X after Musk bought it. Okay, I think that was a cultural marker, right? That was a flag being planted. And where we're at right now, if you look back at all the media that's happened between now and then, look back at all the CIA podcasts like Sean Ryan's show and, you know, so many of them. So, right, there's all the big podcasts are like CIA podcasts, Jesuit slave podcasts, and synagogue slave podcasts. All the big ones are okay. You know, fight me. I'll fight you on that. I'm not going to name any names. I think you know the ones I'm talking about. You got your Catholic folks, you got your synagogue folks, and you've got Fed boys just infesting all of that. You've also got your punchy fighty folks. But yeah, I think that right now, what we're seeing, if you put all that together, you put all the headlines together, and you put all of the streaming service documentaries about shady events over the last, well, let's go all the way back to JFK. They're quite literally right now putting a final red bow on every single conspiratorial or questionable event that you could think of. There's a streaming service docuseries about it. There's a streaming service documentary about it. There's a new movie coming out about it. Hello, we could talk about the alien invasion, right? See, I brought my alien tonight because we got to talk about the 3 rumors floating around. But anyways, like I really think that there is a unifying theory of converging conspiracies happening right now. And what it's all about is closing the loop on Epstein, closing the loop on 9/11, closing the loop on JFK, closing the loop on the serial killer phenomenon, closing the loop on the daily shooter phenomenon. All these things are being wrapped up right now in a consumer-based sort of way. And I think all of those narratives that we're seeing, to include a lot of the conspiracy candy that they will admit to in some of these stories. Yeah, 3-Eye Atlas, LO fucking L. Also, thank you, Brent. There's something going on here, and it's big. And I think it's because what's coming up is going to overtake all of our old things. Like you were into eugenics, you were into whatever, you know, you're into Tesla technology, you're into 9/11, you're into JFK research. It's all over, guys. It's all fucking done. There's no more questions to be had. The streaming services all have put a bow on it. The articles online have all put a bow on it. Tucker Carlson came and said a bunch of shit about it that we've already been saying for the last, I don't know, 24 years. Shit like that, right? Candace Owens comes out. All of a sudden, everybody knows about the USS Liberty. We've only been talking about it for 20 years. This kind of stuff, right? All these things are now done. They're done. They're dusted. We're not talking about them anymore. We're busy talking about the feuds between aforementioned people.
And that's all the news is these days, is it? It's like
what a whack Friday.
Podcasters talking about other podcasters, and here's a headline about what this podcaster said about this podcaster, and here's a podcaster to break down that article. This is crazy.
But good luck finding the fucking boiler room, right? Like we're under shadow ban.
And then, of course,
You know,
this entire thing that you're discussing now, they've inserted the AI as the ultimate. You know,
Yeah.
they're like release of liability here now.
Yeah, that could very well be, Ruckus, that AI will now be the arbiter. We
Oh, you
can't
bet your
agree
ass it
on
will.
anything. We can't solve anything. So we'll have this big aggregator that will process all this information, and it will dole out the absolute truth. That now the issue's been solved. Nothing more to see here. And it reminds me of of applied sciences like so-called medicine, vaccines, or science in general. The way they, you don't trust the science. You're a social reject. You're one of those Bryan Hesher guys, and you don't trust the science. You don't accept what Pfizer says, or you don't accept what the vaccine promoters say. And it's similar with political science too now, isn't it? Oh, you mean you don't believe Oswald was involved at all? Well, I suppose you don't believe in vaccines either, right? It's sort of like that. You've got to accept the political science, the political consensus, just as much as you're supposed to accept the medical consensus.
Right. And sorry, Mark, but just riffing
okay.
on that, and things that didn't used to be political now are, right? You talk about your kids in school, you're talking about your health, you're talking about your doctor, you're talking about your, medical products, you're talking about, the pee-pees and poo-poos, whatever, you know what I mean? Every fucking thing is now political. Every fucking thing. Comedians can't even just do comedy, right? Comedians have to talk about politics. What the fuck is this? What the fuck? Tim Dillon and Joe Rogan and all these comedians are the people we go to for political commentary now. Are you fucking kidding me? It's a sad statement as to where we're at right now. But when you made that comment about politics, that also strikes a bone here in the boiler room, because it's like a lot of these topics didn't used to be political, but now find me one that's not.
Yeah, no kidding. It really permeates all sorts of different parts of society. And like even something, and this might sound a little off kilter, but I look at even game shows a little differently these days, like the show Jeopardy, right? The way Jeopardy is done, when you sit back and look at it, they have a conclusion, and then you're supposed to come up with the question. Who was Dick? A real jerk in office. Who was Dick Cheney? Then that's the answer, right? But it seems to operate on the premise that knowledge is now fixed. In other words, there's nothing more to learn. That we know our history. There's nothing more to learn about history. It's just guess the right answer. We already have the answers. You just have to guess the right answer to win a bunch of money. You can't be thinking in the original thoughts, or you can't be doubting the history. You've got to cite something that our history books already tell us, and then you guess the right answer and you win a lot of money on the game show. So in other words, it pays to recite the standard history. See the message it kind of sends? I've been kind of thinking about game shows and things like that too. It's subtle, but I think it's there. They're basically saying, if you want to be part of the system, you want to win a little bit of money, you want to have a little bit of notoriety, well then let's bone up on reading your Encyclopedia Britannica or Wikipedia, and go on the game show and make sure you get it right.
Even Jeopardy, right? Like the most intellectual of the game shows, the television game shows, like even that one, it's like, oh, okay, this is very like Britannica, Wikipedia oriented.
Yeah, in a way, you're just reciting what's already in recorded history by the august historians.
Yeah.
That won't really explain what really happened, or they don't even want to know what happened on 9/11. And JFK and all those events are actually within our reach. We actually could kind of solve those things, but society doesn't want to do that. Society meaning the system. It doesn't want to do that. it wants to give you a pseudo solution and sell you on the idea that you really don't need to solve anything. You just need to accept the narrative, and so it's a psychological exercise. There are no they're basically saying everything's inexplicable, unsolvable. There are no solutions. Just get with the program, get content with that, and just enjoy the ride and eat your kibble.
And you got bigger fish. We got bigger fish to fry, and by the way, all these topics, whatever I rattled through a list of them right there. You can find docuseries on whatever. You're only going to watch those if you're interested in them. Okay. So there's like a whole swath of humanity that's not even fucking interested in them. Okay. So like those that are interested, like, hey, you're like me, you want to know more about the serial killer phenomena. Hey, there's some really good docuseries out there. I'll be the first to admit. But like when I watch them, I'm like, what about this? What about that? What about this book that said these things? Like, why are all these questions not addressed? And why are we leaning into, something with so many question marks around it? I could go through individual examples, but I'm not going to do that because Mystical Pharaoh, forgive me, has to roll out pretty soon here. And we got one more story we want him to be here for before he's got to roll out. So Pharaoh, I'm going to read just the beginning part of this, and then I'll go to you. This was posted by newstart_2024, and it reads on X, Nicole Shanahan. Does anybody remember Nicole Shanahan? I do. Ex-wife of Google co-founder Sergey Brin, right? Just to break in here, he is, as they said, Google co-founder, CFR member, Davos attendee, all the clubs, all the things, right? Was there at Trump's inauguration, even, I believe. Anyways, so Nicole Shanahan, she was the running mate of RFK Jr. That's probably, if you're trying to remember why you remember her, that's why you remember her. And someone who personally signed 9-figure philanthropy checks. Well, she just went full whistleblower on the entire Silicon Valley, quote unquote, tech wife mafia and how they were used. So this is an interesting clip. We're gonna let the clip run here. I'm gonna put it on full audio and video here, turn it all the way up. And then we'll analyze, and then we'll see Mystical Pharaoh out and wind down here. But here you go.
But what happened around the pandemic is that this whole other segment, what I don't think many of the tech mafia wives realize is that they were used to set the groundwork for what was called like the reset, what is called generally as like the reset by the Klaus Schwabs,
like
of
the
the
Great
world.
Reset.
The Great Reset. Yeah. They openly talk about this Great Reset.
Yeah.
So the tech wife mafias, I believe, were kind of being conscripted in many ways, and their money especially was being conscripted in to set the groundwork for the Great Reset.
Yeah. Specifically through
a network of NGO advisors, relationship with Hollywood, relationship with Davos, and their own companies. So if you look at like who's on these boards, who hangs out with each other, how the culture of tech wealth works, like Silicon Valley tech wealth, and that small group of people responsible for a huge amount of money and a huge amount of NGO activity across the United States. It's a really small group of people, and it's a really small group of people making these decisions.
Yeah.
And then completely blind to everything else that's going on and how their groundwork is being used to then enable these other policies, these Great Reset policies. Now, what this group of women doesn't realize is that in their haste, these women are all very busy.
Yeah.
They have multiple properties. They have tons of staff. They have staff issues, chronic staff issues. Their kids are busy. Their kids oftentimes have some health issues as well. A lot of them have relationship issues with their husbands. And a lot of them themselves are like medicated on SSRIs and antidepressants and all of that because it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, so it's chaos, and these women find their meaning through their philanthropic work.
Yeah.
And they find themselves. Like I would find myself. That was my self-worth, was my philanthropic work, and I really believed in it.
Mm-hmm.
I really believed that I was giving Black communities a chance to like rise up out of oppression. I really believed that I was helping Indigenous communities rise up out of oppression. And now that I look back and see how all those grants were forming, you know, because my version of success is those communities are actually uplifted.
Yeah. Not just more money pumped into them.
Not just
Yeah.
more money. No, the problems of the community have gotten worse. Crime in the community has gotten worse. Mental health in the Native community, the Indigenous community, has gotten worse. They will even say, the Indigenous community will even say that their biggest supporters in Congress have been Republicans, but yet they continue to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is this, it's like the whole model is broken. The whole model makes everybody worse off. And now we're contending with the frickin' Great Reset that we're now realizing is a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that many of our climate change issues are geoengineering issues.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is like, at the end of the day, they always go to that. They're like, but climate change. And then,
Yeah,
and
that
was
really
like,
is the end all be all. Like, you have to let us do this because of climate change.
yeah. Social justice and climate change. It always boils down to those two things. And it gets progressive women 100% of the time.
It does. It does. So,
but
All right, so there you go. Pharaoh, I know you got to go. Bill DeBerg, I know you got to go. I'm gonna go to Pharaoh and then over to Bill. Pharaoh, what are your thoughts after seeing the whole tech wife mafia leak? I guess. I mean, it doesn't really feel like a leak or whistleblow to me, but I guess it is to a certain extent. What do you think?
I have actually been following her for a while. I was skeptical about her when first RFK announced her as his running mate. Because I was like, well, she's just, you know, was married to that like Google bro and just one of the team. But I've been really impressed with her, with what she's always been talking about, and she's actually pretty. She's been more consistent than RFK Jr., believe it or not. But the video was really interesting when I listened to it for a few things. Number one is I loved at the end when she said like climate change is geoengineering, which is, you know, how long we've been saying that shit, right?
Dude,
So,
we've been saying that here for so long. Like, you can't talk to us about climate change until you address what I'm seeing in the sky.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
So so that was really interesting. The other thing is I think she was I felt it was honest, right? I was not surprised when she was describing the sad, just, you know, empty lives and how they use those like philanthropy to fill their lives. That all this made sense to me. I was actually I was pretty impressed by her going after them. So that's my take on it. I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear what Bill and Ruckus have to say about it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'll go around the room and I'll let you guys go. Bill, what do you think about what you just heard there?
Like you indicated, Hesh, it's not a huge revelation. I like the part, and maybe I'm repeating a little bit of what was just said. I like the part where she's making it fairly clear that the claims about climate change then lead to, well, hey, we need to intervene in the weather. We need to do weather engineering. But the climate change that we do see is probably the very result of that geoengineering, to whatever extent it takes place. So there's sort of an expose there in a sense, or a potential one, where we do notice some weather anomalies, extended droughts, mega floods like what happened in Texas, and then they just attribute it to some distant sort of amorphous kind of climate change, just some sort of general abstraction, when in fact the elites are probably monkeying with the weather. And when things go wrong, they say, see, it's climate change. It's the typical general climate change that we're referring to, when in fact they're actually actively messing with the climate, as opposed to fighting some sort of general abstract climate change. So there's a little bit of a potential expose there, although she's not real explicit about it, that climate engineering is the changes we see. And then they just use the climate change narrative, the generic one, as an excuse, as a foil. And then if we ask too many questions, well, what are these streaks in the sky and this, that, and the other thing? Once again, you're crazy. So that must mean you doubt Oswald was the only gunman, and I'll bet you don't believe in vaccines either. You know, they keep drawing the line, and I can't help but mention, even though I'm going off topic, did anybody see ABC News's November 22nd news special on JFK?
No. Tell us about it.
Well, it's too late and people got to go. But under the guise or under the image of this analytical show, they didn't even mess with things that would be safe to get into. Like, let's say you want to repeat a fact that they really did find a German Mauser in the 6th floor depository, and there were 3 shells from the Italian carbine, but what they found was 3 shells from the Italian carbine, but a completely different gun, a German Mauser. And then that was found by 3 different police officers at the same time, Seymour, Weitzman, Wolf Ritz, and Roger Craig, all 3 of them. And one of them signed an affidavit to that effect. And so that would have been a safe thing to do. Walter Cronkite reported that they had found a Mauser. So did other major national reporters. So you would think that just to give the audience just a little something to chew on, a little piece of conspiracy candy, as you would put it, Hesh, that they would mention the very real issue of the Mauser. But they didn't. They didn't say a word about it. And that's all I'll say about it. The fact that they didn't even mention that relatively safe little piece of conspiracy candy just shows you how, to this day, they're keeping that whole JFK issue just tightly within the conventional box. They don't want to give even 1 inch on that, not even 1/100th of an inch. And the whole show ended up being just, yeah, we know there's conspiracy theories. Oh, wow, that's kind of intriguing. But then all they do is they lead you right back to Oswald being the lone gunman.
Of course.
So everything they explore that's not Oswald is just a bunch of fairy dust.
So Mark, are you telling me that what you just watched, that what you just described to us, fits almost exactly into what I was saying about my grand overarching converging conspiracies theory?
Yeah, the unified field theory. Yeah, I would say it's very close. They'll talk about the fact that people think there's a conspiracy. They'll talk about the phenomenon of a conspiracy, but they can't even go as far as to mention the Mauser, which was reported by Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been such an easy throw. Mark Anderson and Hesher and Ruckus and Mystical Pharaoh, throw them all a bone. That would have been the one bone that could have thrown us.
And look what's happening right now. We had Charlie Kirk murdered very publicly in front of everybody, we think.
Maybe.
And it's like, there's this huge hubbub about it, you know, and to the point where Candace Owens just basically becomes the number one podcaster on the planet, you know, supersedes Joe Rogan and everybody. And now says she's in fear of her life and she has to take a week off and all this stuff. But it's like the Charlie Kirk investigation, like I don't feel like I need to talk about this at all because her whole show is about that. You can watch 4 hours a week of Candace using techniques similar that you may have seen here in the boiler room to break down that whole event. So it's like for me, it's like I don't want to be involved in this. I really don't. It's fucking stupid. Like what I've learned about the Daily Shooter program and about high profile shootings like this is we're not going to get to know. Okay, we're not going to get to know. And someone else is already doing the same thing that I would be doing if I was interested in that. Fucking great, cool, rock on. You know, I'll check in when I can. But like even that's turned into a complete shit show now. So you know, we've got like governments, you know, claims of governments plotting to assassinate her over things that she's said about Brigitte Macron and Charlie Kirk and Israel, to the point where she's like saying now on her X account, yeah, these have been verified by the Pentagon and by the Department of Homeland Security and the Counterterrorism Task Force, and I'm taking a week off. You know, it's getting weird out here, you guys. But I think like, you know, back to the point here, my point was like even Charlie Kirk, something that's happened just what back in September, the day before on September 10th, is now something that has a bow put on it, even though you can't see his autopsy report, even though there's no answers as to why people on his team were removing SD cards from cameras the second after it happened, even though there's no explanation for all the meetings and the flights and all the we didn't do it and George Zim being there saying I did it, just kidding, LOL, like all that stuff. What a shit show. What an absolute shit show. And you have you and me and my friends here in the boiler room, we have no choice in fixing that narrative. We have no choice in finding the actual perpetrators. We have no choice in exposing something that might even be more devious than just a murder. You know, it just is what it is. There's already a bow on it, and if you question it, you're a dickhead to a grieving widow. You're a dickhead to a grieving audience, and that's just the way it is, folks. So you just got to accept the narrative, you know, in its Christmas box with the red bow on top and take it. Otherwise, you're a social reject. So I'll send it to Pharaoh one more time and then DeBerg, and we'll let you guys go. Pharaoh, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, I'm looking forward for that discussion in 2026 Thanksgiving. I'm wondering what we'll be talking about.
Yeah. Dude, no kidding. A year from now. I mean, imagine just looking back to, like I said at the intro to the show, like just imagine like when that Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside Trump Tower in Nevada. Like everything that's unfolded between now and then, ridiculous. Talk about a whack Friday as we get into the last boiler rooms of the year.
Yeah, so it's gonna be 2026 will be legit. I'm looking forward for December. Hopefully, we will make a special episode for the end of the year one.
For sure, we will. Yep.
But nice to hang out with everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and stay safe.
All right. Mystical Pharaoh. Cheers, buddy. There he goes. Mystical Pharaoh's punching out. Bill, Mr. William DeBerg, over to you. Final thoughts, saved rounds.
Boy, what can I say that hasn't been said by this fine panel? Well, you know what you're talking about, where everything, they put a bow on everything. And I've said this before, you know, they do fear, there's they and then there's they. They do fear an informed populace, so they got to keep stirring our brains. They don't like the idea that people will figure this stuff out, and they know that a lot of people have. So they give us freedom of speech, but they don't give us freedom of reach. The ones that want to wrap a bow on everything are the ones that tend to have more influence and have freedom of reach. And as you mentioned, some of them seem to be spooks or at least linked to spooks. and intel agencies. And so they're working really hard to they're working really hard to suppress a public opinion that they fear. And that's the one saving grace, is they fear an informed populace, or they wouldn't manipulate our thinking and our information so much. I mean, truth will eventually come out in the end. The question is will we be here to see it? Which is why I'm a major advocate that we archive our things, archive our work in such a way where people down the road, decades hence, will know that we existed and know that we had these things to say and wrote these books and produced these documentaries and whatever. We need to have our work remembered, so the writers of history do not prevail. And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't just sit idly by and allow history to be rewritten, allow real-time events to lead to fake history, to lead to fake policy and fake history or unnecessary policy, Hegelian policy and legislation, if you will, and Hegelian geopolitics and Hegelian medicine and and everything has to be a fucking emergency now. And then here they come with their solutions that just happen to fit right in. The one thing I would like to say about Nicole Shanahan's commentary there, first off, this might not be neither here nor there to a lot of people, but I thought it was odd that she kept saying reset. She said it like 3 times, and then the interviewer had to tell her, "Oh, do you mean the Great Reset?" So I know it's kind of a splitting hairs sort of thing, but it kind of made me question her whole like who wrote this for you there? Like, are you really gonna pretend like you don't know that this is a WEF thing, and that like most people that want to hear this message that you're saying understand that it's called the Great Reset, and that it really, you need both words to, match his book title and his thesis and all that. Maybe I'm being a little too picky here, but I just kind of I got a ick. I hate that word, but I did get a bit of an ick when I heard that. Maybe it's nothing. I don't know. But I'm glad she said what she said. The full interview will be linked under that clip on our show page tonight, so you can watch it in its full, length with context and all of that, which I will do too. It's only a minor commentary, but I look at her past work too and her association with some of these NGOs, and I just, it's like, it's hard for me to classify you as a whistleblower. However, I do appreciate the information on the tech wife cult. That part I completely resonated with. Mark, any saved rounds, final thoughts before we got to let you go?
Oh, not really. I think I've said my piece. But good stuff, guys, and happy one day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And many things are still well. All is not lost. We don't want to get buried in our own melancholy that you can unavoidably kind of get from all of this. It would be easy if we let ourselves do it to get rather depressed or rather anxious about what's going on. But I think in the end, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and the more they try and grab for power, the more it slips through their fingers. There's a lot of signs that people are waking up. People I talk to every day in different walks of life, and I think that part of what is done by the media is to make you think that things are inevitable, to make you think that you don't have a chance, to make you think that you're completely overwhelmed by events. And I think that might even be the reason TV was invented, as a mass psychosis, a mass influencer, so they could reach everybody at the same time with the same message in a mass media kind of way, and convince you that the way the world's going is inevitable. Just get out of the way. Don't try and alter it. Don't try and modify it. You're just a plebeian, and I think some of it, not all, but some of it is bluff.
Yeah. And it occurs to me, Mark, that like how much easier it must have been for them to psyop the world when they only had the 6 o'clock news and the 10 o'clock news and the newspapers, right? Like way, way easier to sit down in a shady boiler room around a table and come up with ways to, put the talking points out there to wrap them in narratives that would be compelling to people and do whatever it was they needed them to do. But now everything happens at warp speed, pun intended. And that includes the news cycle sculpting and the narrative sculpting itself. So that's why we're always glad to have Mr. Bill Derberg here with us. thetruthhound.com is the website. You've seen it on the screen over and over tonight. Mark, thanks for being here. And thanks for everything you do here in the boiler room out there at UK Column and Stop the Presses. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
No problem. Yeah, I wrote down in the chat. I wrote down the university that I wish all of them would attend. All these establishmentarians, STFU. They really need to go to STFU.
Yeah, or GTFO, one of those two.
All right, gentlemen. See you later.
All right, bye, Mark. There goes Mark Anderson. All right, Ruckus, we got to talk about the 3 Trumpian rumors that are going around before we cut the show.
We do? Do we have?
Yeah. Let's real quickly run through what
There's 5 of them now. It's not just
5.
3.
There were only 3 when we had brunch, dude. What happened?
I know. I guess maybe 4.
All right. So one of them, I want to talk about this one first. I want to talk about the Space Bros. Aliens.
Yeah, so according to my news feed, as I'm just doom scrolling through my social media and my phone goes ding, here's the news for you today before you enjoy your weekend. Trump's gonna disclose aliens, everybody. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. Yeah, no, so they want you to not dig deep into this. They want you to walk away from the headlines. They walk away and talk to all your friends over the weekend. Like, did you hear Trump's gonna disclose aliens? Is that true, Hesher? Is Trump going to disclose aliens?
There's something brewing. I can say that. I watched Spore and I watched a short clip on Joe Rogan's show, but I forget the dude's name, but he's the director of a new sort of, UFO-ish, UAP-ish, disclosure-ish sort of documentary that everybody's talking about right now.
What do you mean ish? The name of the documentary is The Age of Disclosure.
Okay, yeah, it's a documentary about UAP disclosure, to be more precise. Thank you. But he spent some time on Rogan's show, and he was touting the new film, and he was saying, "Yeah, Donald Trump hasn't watched it yet, but I know he's aware of it, and I've got Marco Rubio on the film, saying this, that, and the other about UAPs and UFOs, and." And then they start referencing all of the stuff that we had great glee at making fun of from a couple of years ago when like Bob Lazar and that other guy were doing the rounds. And we had all the, Mexican UAP stuff coming out, South American UAP stuff coming out.
Some Tic Tacs.
Yeah, Tic Tacs, TikToks, waterlogged thingies and, all that stuff, cigars and discs and yay.
Elise, the guy with the tattoo and Blink 182.
Yeah, that guy. Of course, there's always that guy. They roll out the punk rockers and all that stuff, the pop punk rockers. But anyway, so okay, we got alien disclosure, perhaps on the menu. The other one, Ruckus, I think was.
Well, but the point is that's where that came from. So the news was literally saying that Trump is going. Well, I guess the news wasn't saying that, but the headlines. Which again, how many people actually read the damn article? So the headlines were suggesting, literally saying that Trump was going to disclose aliens when it's just simply a reference to what Hesher just described. Sorry, you're the other side there. Is the comments of the director of this film. So people like, how did the comments of this director of this film turn into like, did you hear the news that Trump's going to release alien disclosure? Like, come on, get out of here. Very similar with how he's going to fix everybody's monetary problems. Right?
Yeah, which would be the next one. Let me put this on screen just so people can see where they can go find out what we're talking about, add a little bit more context to it. So this is the cat that was on with Joe here, and his name is Dan Farah, Farah, and they have a 10-minute conversation. At least this clip is a 10-minute conversation about that. So we'll put that on the show page. You can go check it out. Now, the next thing, the next Trumpian rumor for the MAGAs out there is that Trump is going to do away with income tax.
Oh, I was saving that one for last.
Oh, well, I just jumped the frog, or I leapfrogged or something.
That's the money shot right
That
there.
is the money shot, yeah.
So I mean, that one's so fresh. I didn't even do any digging into that one.
Yeah, that's got people excited. I think when you mentioned it earlier today, I said, well, that ain't gonna fly unless we're under a UBI world. Then I could see that flying. They'd be taxing themselves at that point, right? So like it could be like it might be cool, right, to not have income tax and all that, right? Like some of you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, what if the trade-off
What
is
would it be
UBI?
replaced with?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
UBI, stable coins, CBDCs, and universal basic income tied to your credit score based on how much meat you eat or get meat because you're allergic to it because you may or may
Your
not
social and your financial credit score.
I was making a joke, or we were talking about this on Weaponized News the other night. Shout out to Sam Chaney, who hosts Weaponized News. He does his show Monday through Friday, and I make an appearance there once a week, usually on Wednesday nights. So you can also find out more of that at alternatecurrentradio.com under Roundabout Ruckus, by the way. But shout out to Weaponized News. I was on there Wednesday, just before Thanksgiving, and we were talking about, I think, the adjustable prices, the algorithms and the price changing thing, like we were just discussing here a minute ago. And I think I made the comment of like, since this is all happening in real time and it's going to be tied to your credit score, when you go inside to like, say, the Burger King, the cost of your hamburger could increase if you farted out in the parking lot on your way in. Because now you contributed to the carbon, to the, now your hamburger or your fake hamburger is going to cost you more. I mean, that sounds crazy, but with the algorithms and doing all of this shit in real time, why worry about an income tax when you could just tax the shit out of everybody all the time, 24 hours a day, for every little tiny minuscule behavior or even thought that they have in their head? Because yes, they could probably reduce credits from you or charge you more for your 42-inch TV and your Yeezy sneakers based on your social media posts, right? Which you were scrolling for like this way, but then you paused for a second. And when you paused for just a second, we don't know whether it was because you had to sneeze or somebody caught your attention, but you paused just at that Yeezy. It was Kanye hanging out with his net and his Yahoo with Nick Fuentes, with Alex Jones. And like, now we know that you're antiseptic. We know you're a far-right terrorist, and you probably should be deported. We're going to have the National Guard sent to your door right after the drones. But first, those sneakers and that 42-inch TV are going to cost you twice as much as the sweet old lady or who watches nothing but PBS and Fox News, which is a strange combination. But not really these days. I can't tell the difference between the two.
You might be well-rounded as far as blue pill people go, if that's what you do.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't even know where this rumor is coming from. He wants to eliminate income tax. I bet you anything, if I dug into that, I'm going to find out that's just based on some comment that somebody in the administration or close to the administration said, or God forbid, it could always be one of the, according to sources close to the matter. Like what? Like it could literally be such a thing. Like, according to sources close to the matter, Trump is considering eliminating income tax, and that bam, now you get a headline that says Trump might eliminate income tax and get everybody. Fuck yeah, we'll do that, dude. He's my guy.
Yeah, I heard he's going to stop some wars. I heard he was going to release some files. Yay, cool. Let's do that. Calling Larry says I only have enough carbon credits for bugs. Yeah, welcome to the Social Rejects Club, dude.
Considering the alternatives, I'm starting to wonder if the bugs were like, was that such a bad deal after all?
Yeah, right. Like the bugs might be better than the cesium 137 shrimp cocktail. So
I don't want to turn into a chest bursting alien or grow an extra ear. Sorry.
No thanks. I mean,
But what can I eat to grow some extra teeth? That'd be cool.
There you go. Shrimp, apparently. Shrimp from China or Indonesia or something. Okay, what
Well,
else we got?
case in point, the third rumor, and this is like a perfect example of how these simple comments made from somebody in the administration turns into a quote unquote news story somehow. We're saving so much, but we saved. Not that we're saving, but across in the last year, in case you didn't know, we saved so much money thanks to Trump's tariffs that now there's lots of extra. We were going to share the wealth with everybody. And now, bing, magic fairy wand, everybody's going to get $2,000 stimmy checks. Or, well, I guess we're not calling them stimmy checks or stimulus checks.
Tariff check.
Their tariff check. That's Trump's tariff check. So this is coming from Howard Lutnick, who, in case you didn't know, was Epstein's next door neighbor.
Brought to you by friends of Jeff.
And has some very interesting business ties with lots of various things. Anyways, do your own research. Don't trust me. But yeah, he made comments recently on the CNBCs and the Fox Newses and the PBSs and whatnot, suggesting, he says, we've spoken many times, me and Trump, that is, and it's on his desk, whatever that is. I hope the same thing doesn't happen to this as what happened to the Epstein files on Bondi's desk. But no, on Trump's desk, allegedly, according to Mr. Howard Lutnick, Treasury Secretary, in case you didn't know, under Trump version 2.0. Yes, he wants to we're going to go ahead and let everybody get a taste. Actually, the way he said it was like we're just getting a little taste of all the money that's been saved from these tariffs.
I get a taste.
So here's a little bit for you little plebes, you little sheeple, you little person. But I don't know where this is coming from. But yeah, I don't believe this for a second. But again, if they do any of these things, it's going to be probably wrapped under the new Trump coin USA super CBDC stable coin thingamabobber or whatever that Elon Musk, maybe they'll kiss and make up and maybe they'll have a baby. I don't know how that works anymore these days. But it happens a lot with Elon Musk, that's for sure. But maybe they'll come together and put their heads together. And Elon Musk's got this, great plan to block out the sun. So he's still doing his climate change thing. And yeah, maybe we'll see a carbon credit score here in America. And then of course to access it, wouldn't you know it, because we don't want to just give this to all those dirty criminals who came across the border under the Biden administration. Just wide open borders was crazy. I don't know why the guy didn't build a wall or anything. Like, just let them in. We got to make sure that we're giving this stuff out to the right person. So we're going to need to use a, digital ID. But don't worry, Apple's on it, and so is Samsung, and all of your favorite people that that were married. I say were, or at least for purposes, maybe growing a little beard there, as it were. The tech wife mafia, right? I didn't know that was such a thing, dude. I learned something new on this program.
Yes, SRI wives with too many NGO friends, right?
So those are the rumors. And then last one is not a rumor. This is apparently news, but I don't think it's going to happen, or maybe it will. But just coming into the boiler room, it said breaking, Trump is going to do away with every single order made by Joe Biden under his
the auto pen
pen
orders. He said, I saw that too when I was getting ready for the show. He's saying that every single EO that was signed under the Biden administration by auto pen, and people estimate there's upward of 80% of them that were will be null and void. So just think about, like, if you were one of those executive order trolls that liked the outrage prawn of like looking at the EOs in the Biden administration, all that anger you had, all those, rushes of adrenaline, guess what? Gone. And maybe that, I don't know that I disagree with that, but at the same time, I don't agree with anything that's happening right now. So I don't know why I should care too much about those guys changing things that were outrageous before. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weirdo, but yeah. So that's the rumor mill right now. We gave you a good MAGA rumor mill. Do with it what you will. Your mileage might vary. And I want to thank.
You know what? I'm no expert on these types of things, Hesher. I'm new here, but it almost seems to me like they're throwing out a lot of hopium and throwing a lot of bread and circus, and they're trying to feed some scraps to the people who seem to be a little disillusioned. The base seems to be a little off these days. And for more about that, we went into great depth and detail about that on Sunday Wire now, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, we did. We had a great Sunday Wire this last Sunday. If you're new around here at Alternate Current Radio or Boiler Room, you should know that we have been doing a show with Patrick Henningsen for many, many years, and it's one of our favorite shows. It's one of our flagship shows at Alternate Current Radio, along with Boiler Room. And we do have a lot of other great shows that we curate and help some of our friends and colleagues platform. But yeah, we've talked a lot bit about that in the Sunday Wire. You should check it out. AlternateCurrentRadio.com is where you go if you need to find show posts from like last week or the week before, or an entire archive of a show. On Sunday Wire last week, Ruckus rightfully pointed out that you should be checking out the Mystical American Patriot Society, and in particular right now, the Odd Man Out podcast, which has a 25 or so part series called Those We Don't Speak About, which is very relevant right now. Very, very relevant.
To be fair, Those We Don't Speak Of is
Those
the
We
official
Don't
name.
Speak Of. Yes, that rolls off the tongue a little bit better. I like that. Yeah, so that's where you find us, alternatecurrentradio.com. You find us on our Twitters. I just put those on the screen for you. We appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. Let's see, where are we at right now? I can't see it, but if you haven't liked the video yet, please do. That helps. Throw comments. That helps too. Thanks to everybody that threw comments out tonight. And I'll look forward to doing this with you again next week, Ruckus. And it was great to do the holiday with you, man. Thanks for everything you do.
Yeah, of course. Don't forget to follow me on my X. It's AC_wordslinger, where I make great posts like this one here, where I said, dang, this meme from 2017 really hits different in 2025. It's Trump doing the I came in like a wrecking ball. Ain't that the truth, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of truth, if you want to understand truth, that's on you. That's why I always remind people when we close out now on the Boiler Room, the great words of the late, great, may he rest in peace, William Milton Cooper, who said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said this many times, many different ways, read everything, listen to everybody, but don't believe anything unless you can prove it for yourself with your own research. Thanks for having me, Hesher. God bless everybody. Good night.
All right. Thanks, Ruckus, man. There he goes. Ruckus is punching out of the Boiler Room, and I'm about to do the same thing myself. We looked at our news stack today, Ruckus and Spore and I, and we said we can get this done in 2 hours. Here we are, 3.5 hours in. Thanks for hanging with us. If you made it this far in the show, we really appreciate it. Please share, like, subscribe, all that crap. If you want to support us, we sell shirts and various thingies on our website. We got merch and all that stuff. We got to buy me a coffee for Ruckus. We got a PayPal. We got all that good stuff. So if you want to be that level of supporter, now's your chance. Now's your chance. Get in that holiday spirit. And that's it, my friends. That's it for this episode of Boiler Room. We are out of here, and we'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your holiday weekend and all that stuff.
That's it. Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
We'll see you next time.